Hello and welcome to Incrypted Pitch Session number 2, which is held in partnership with PitchTalk platform we use to organize pitch sessions, and Majinx, an agency which help startups with fundraising, marketing, and other useful stuff. My name is Ivan Pavlovsky. I'm CEO and co-founder of Incrypted, the biggest crypto media in Eastern Europe from Ukraine. So what is it made for? Our main idea is to create an ecosystem, a workspace where great projects can meet great people, great VCs, angels, which will help to boost their startups to the tops of Web3 market. And of course, our community. VC angels and industry leaders can find projects to support and maybe create a mutual benefit cooperation. And of course, our community can find great projects to on early stages to support, maybe take part in them and become an early adopter. Also, some of our community can have some valuable lessons during these pitch sessions because lots of them already do or will make their projects. So it's a great platform for mutual benefit for projects, VCs, and communities. And before we start, I would like to introduce the person who will be in charge of main pitch session flow, making introductions for pitches, sharing questions from judges, and a lot of useful stuff. So please welcome the main host of our event, Okaya from PitchTalk. Hi, Okaya, please introduce yourself and tell us a bit what's going to happen today.
Yes, thank you so much for the introduction, Ivan. I'm Kaya Guten, BD at PitchTalk, and today we will experience first-hand showcases of 8 seed stage startups that will exactly give in 5 minutes the time to showcase their vision and potential while sharing a demo in real time. Before we move on to the first showcase, I would love to highlight our judges and partners of today, but also showcase the timeline. So, Ivan, I'm going to friendly kick you off the stage and move on.
The stage is yours.
Yes, so this is our timeline for today, and we will kick off the event with the first showcase of ZKX. I will need a big breath for this. We have a massive list of partners, VCs, angels, and luminaries in the blockchain industry involved. So we got ZBS Capital, FD Capital, Godbit, Mergewave Capital, Blockchain UA, Hacken, BNB Chain, Linea, Polkastarter, Majinx, Tren Finance, Composability Labs, Gate.io, Happy, UF Ventures, HVS Ventures, Chain Capital, New Tribe Capital, Evo Invest, Orion Ventures, Aurora, WB Network, MetaBros, DexDAO Studio, PitchTalk, Solus Agency, BitGet, Whitebit, and the Friends Syndicate. All right, so please, ZKX, get ready as I'm about to bring you on the stage. Yes, Navam, welcome.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. Let me know whenever I can start or get up.
Absolutely, our pleasure. I will bring your slide on stage and also kick myself friendly off. The stage is all yours.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. My name is Naman, co-founder of ZKX. It's an absolute pleasure to really come over here and present. I can see some of our existing investors over here as well. Quick summary, at ZKX, we're actually building perpetual swaps like essentially never before. I'm sorry, guys. How do I change the slide? Apologies.
I believe you can change the slides by using your arrows on your keyboard.
No, I'm not able to.
Could you please click on the slide on the screen and then try it again?
Yep.
All
Nope.
right. There we go.
No, for me, it still isn't working, unfortunately. Maybe you can just present it for us. If that's okay, we can just start.
Absolutely. I'm with you behind the screens. If you say next slide, we can move on, and I will be your wingman.
Perfect.
Lovely.
Awesome.
Let's go.
Thank you so much, Kai. I really appreciate this. Awesome. So, guys, at ZKX, we're actually building a perpetual swap protocol like never before. The idea for ZKX was very simple. We are venture capitalists as a background. We were one of the most early investors. Our previous fund was the only investor in Primex. That's where we really got a taste of the perpetual swap as a product, how sticky it is, how big it can really be. But we also had very core understanding of emerging markets, and we saw an opportunity where we felt that there's a gap in the market for a perpetual swap protocol that is able to perform at par with centralized exchanges, targeting retail users with a Web2 experience, but still having the best of DeFi. And that's how the story of ZKX really started off. So very early on, we realized that mainstream adoption of DEXs was always a problem. So we thought we could either build something for 15 to 20,000 hardcore DeFi traders, or you could build something for the millions of traders of centralized exchanges with the same user experience. Decentralization was really becoming quite a key driver early on, especially after FTX. The adoption has been quite strong, something that we as an industry were not really able to do. Maybe a failure kind of led to the largest adoption in general. We were also seeing that most of the on-chain solutions available at the time weren't scalable. They weren't able to perform and give the user experience that a retail person, especially in emerging market, is very comfortable with. And that is where we saw majority of the opportunity kind of coming in. So that's the majority problem that we saw. Next slide, please. Awesome. So what we created at ZKX, we created a unified liquidity perpetual DEX. What it means that essentially we started building ZKX on top of Starknet. Why? Because to make this vision a reality, account abstraction was extremely important for us. At the time, Starknet was pretty much the only protocol, only ecosystem that actually had tried and tested technology and account abstraction, which we could trust. We went for it. We were one of the earliest projects on Starknet, but the vision for ZKX was always omni-chain, accessible to everybody everywhere. We essentially created, so ZKX essentially bridges the gap between centralized exchanges and DeFi by bringing the best of both worlds. In very simple words, the infrastructure for ZKX is divided into two large components. We created our own ZKX app chain, which is essentially pretty much a standalone blockchain of its own with its own block explorer and everything. On top of the app chain sits our order book. However, the safety security of the funds is always in the self-custody wallets within the L2. The L2 being Starknet for now, but eventually we'll be rolling out to the other ecosystems as well as they progress and grow, which gives us this beautiful architecture that gives us the best of both worlds. We're able to achieve extremely high TPS, 75,000 transactions per second, which can not only support high frequency, but also ultra high frequency trading. It gives us very easy accessibility in terms of having our own data provider service, which sits on our blockchain, which pulls in data directly from the centralized exchanges, which means there's no latency in data, sub-second refresh data feeds. And you have something which eradicates any sort of arbitrage opportunities that might have been created because of delay in data within ecosystem DEXs that use oracles. On top of that, this infrastructure gives us the ability to have very simple and fast integrations with market makers, liquidity providers via basic APIs. So you have the kind of integration that comes in with basically anything which sits on top of our app chain. But the beauty of this unified liquidity order book is that because this sits on top of the app chain, you have one order book where users from multiple chains can trade against each other. For the first time in a DEX, you have an order book that, just like a centralized exchange, where a user from Starknet can trade against a user from Polygon, can trade against somebody who came in off-chain, together in a single unified liquidity order book, which makes market making extremely, extremely capital efficient, and also gives us the ability, because we're pulling in data directly from the exchanges, to have an offering of perpetual swaps that is unlike anybody else. Thank you. Next slide, please. Awesome. So in the journey of ZKX, we realized that it's not just about the experience or the infrastructure. It's also important to figure out other core components. Governance, for example, was something that we realized that we need to really look at it from a very different perspective. In a typical governance model, the token holder pretty much was the person who was getting most of the staking rewards, most of the governance of the protocol decisions. But the problem was that in majority of cases, the largest token holders are the earliest investors, who typically might not be the people who actually use the protocol. So why should the revenue, rewards, and the governance of a protocol be in the hands of somebody who just put in their money years ago, but don't actually actively use it. That's when we came up with the idea of liquid governance, which means that whenever you stake ZKX tokens or you trade on ZKX, you accrue ZKX digital shares, which are basically soul-bound tokens, but they have decay built in them. What it means that till the time you're staked or you're constantly trading and you have these ZKX digital shares, only then will you receive the USDC staking rewards from the protocol, as well as be able to participate in the governance of the protocol. The moment you stop trading or you unstake, the SBTs kind of dissolve away, and essentially you don't have anything. So the protocol governance is made for people who actively engage. But that wasn't really everything. We also realized that we need to solve for other important aspects, be able to provide the kind of experience for all market participants. And I'll go into two components over here, both for retail and institutional. I'll cover the institutional bit first. We realized that majority of the problem in protocols was that you would see a lot of large liquidity, hundreds of millions of dollars of trading volume, but you have like 20 active accounts, which means it's just one-sided toxic liquidity where market makers are just running the funds around and just reaping rewards. In order to create a very healthy order book, you need avenues from both sides. For the institutions, we realized that we need to solve for what is their core problem, and that was liquidity. So we solved it in two cases. A, the ZKX staking rewards are basically 30% of the exchange's trading fee and 10% of the exchange's liquidations, which means anybody who's a staker gets access to these USDC rewards. And we really took them from the real world. Just like you have shares, the company makes money, you get dividends. Why should staking be any different? If a protocol makes a lot of money, we should be able to share the same USDC that we're making with our stakers, which can be institutional or retail, really.
Please note, you have 1 minute left.
Yes, that was the most important thing. Moving on quickly. Yes, the biggest differentiator in ZKX is the unique trading experience. We realize there are two kinds of traders, but not everybody would like to use the traditional trading terminal, which we also have. We created the gamified trading experience, which is the first of its kind. You take single positions, you get rewarded for participation, which means top profits, top loss, top volume. We engage risk-taking, and we're launching this next week, 30th of January. It's going to be quite a milestone launch. We also have other social components as well that you will see once the product is launched. Happy to answer more questions. Moving on. This is our traditional trading terminal, which is basically something that's available everywhere, just a better version of that. Moving on, please. And I would say last, actually, we've covered all of this. Let's just move on again. Perfect. One back, just one slide reverse. Yeah, perfect. This is the current scope that we have in terms of community, everything organic. We did our testnet with $1.14 billion in trading volume, 50,000 accounts created on Starknet. The token is going to be launched in the next few months. We already have in-principle listing approvals from all the exchanges, apart from OKX and Binance, which we expect to get the moment we launch mainnet within the next week. I'd like to go to the last slide, which is the investors and current backers. Perfect. So as you can see, we have a volley of very interesting and strong investors that have supported us since the beginning. Right now, we've already closed about $6 million. We had opened a strategic round, which we has already oversubscribed, but we are still taking some soft commits from the right people who could help us grow and expand. And that is a lot from the community. So thank you, everybody who's already supported us, who's in the audience. And yep, that's about ZKX. Happy to answer more questions. Unfortunately, there's a lot to talk about than I could really cover in 5 minutes, but thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you for the top-notch showcase. And yeah, it's quite a challenge to compress all in 5 minutes.
Yes.
So let's see if we have any questions coming up from our panel of judges. None yet. However, I do have a few burning questions from my side.
Please.
Let me see. So there are quite some upcoming L2s with ZK rollup solutions. What is your key decision to build on Starknet?
I think when we started building this, Starknet was the only one that had tried and tested technology. As you can understand, whenever you're working with anything which is fringe or really at the periphery of new technology, you would take a decision going with somebody who was already a tried and tested tech. Starknet, when we started working with Starkware, they already had StarkX, so Immutable X, DYDX, large working projects, large capital was already there. The trust factor was high. They were extremely supportive. And eventually they also became our investors. So we've already had great support with them. Yes, working in Cairo was quite tricky, but then we created a bit of, we hired from basically Web 2, early Web 3, trained our resources. And the good thing of all of this training has been negligible churn in the company for 2.5 years. So I think we got the best of both worlds over there.
Amazing. Gotta say, I'm quite bullish on Starknet, so looking forward to see your launch. I see we have one question coming up from Kevin. I'm bringing you on the stage now. Hey there,
Perfect.
Kevin.
Hey there.
Hey, Kevin.
Could you please give us a little introduction, which company you represent, and definitely feel free to cast your question.
Of course. So I'm the co-founder of MetaBros. MetaBros is an incubator. We have worked on launches like AIT, PAL AI, Inspect. Now we are working on EC and a couple others. We focus primarily on marketing, go-to-market strategies. That being said, I would love to learn more about your go-to-market strategy and how you plan to onboard your next millions of users.
100%. Great question. The core genesis of ZKX was you need to build something. So let me be very clear. We are not builders building for builders. We are actually venture capitalists who understand growth and end user and wanted to build something with the best of tech for the end user. In our case, our target end user is some of the most active emerging markets within Asia, Africa, India. The reason being that historically also, if you look at trading, if you look at volumes, majority of the volume comes from over here. Now, in order to really penetrate into these emerging markets, the biggest thing that we need to understand is basically regional language support. All of ZKX's content is currently available in 11 languages. All of our entire trading engine will also be available in 11 regional languages. So you're bypassing the barriers of the English-speaking only community, but yet having a Web2 sort of user experience. We have our own account, which means your user journey starts with ZKX account, which is a self-custody L2 wallet. We have our own native bridge from Ethereum L1 to Starknet L2, which means if I count our partners on ramping like BankSignAll and Layer 0, which is our cross-chain partner, fundamentally in one click, you can have your money or your funds credited from any ecosystem or your card directly into Starknet L2. Everything happens behind the hood. Everything has already been stress tested by Nethermind, and we're working very closely with Starkware as well. So we feel that by bringing this sort of seamless experience where you abstract away everything to the end user, it's a password, it's an account, self-custody, but everything's happening in the back end. Your accounts get credited, your money gets credited on Starknet L2. But for them, and the reality is for the end user, it does not matter whether I'm on Starknet, whether I'm on Polygon, Mantle, wherever. It should be technology that they can trust, that works seamlessly, and is in line with the principles of DeFi. So regional language expansion, having a Web2 experience, eradicating everything Web3, making it seamless behind the hood, like the experience these users are used to, is the way we're actually looking at this.
Okay, it makes a lot of sense. So mainly lowering the threshold of language barriers, making it a seamless experience, low threshold to use this.
100%.
One more question is, given that you've already tackled these issues, what would be your biggest issue in onboarding the users, and what are your thoughts on that? Like, what would be your biggest obstacle if you look at it right now from what you have not covered yet?
Sure. So something that a lot of people ask me, which surprisingly nobody asked me, is that you guys are building on top of Starknet, but Starknet doesn't have any TVL or users. How do you counter that? And my answer always is the same, because since Genesis, we realized that we don't want to be dependent on any ecosystem. Yes, we are building on top of them, but ZKX does not rely on Starknet or any ecosystem for its users. We build the entire infrastructure stack in a way that we have the ability to pull in users and be a money Lego to any ecosystem rather than depending on their users or TVL to bring value to us. So the approach is extremely different on how we've really tackled this. I think something else that is very important is when you demystify a lot of Web3 components for keeping in mind a Web2 user. I'll take an example of staking deviating from the topic, but I think it's very important to understand this. The reason it's been simplified and made like that, and the way the infrastructure is built, in the future with Banksa, we can even create something like fiat staking. So with your credit card, you can stake, because ZKX account is your unified experience into ZKX. You can start getting USDC over there. And that is very important and big, because when I talk about staking to an end retail user in Indonesia or India or somewhere, they don't understand the two token economics. It's very simple for them. You trade on us, we make money, you get returns out of it because you trust us and support us. And I think keeping in line with this simple ethos of demystifying and breaking everything down so it's understandable to your user is the core key to success, which is very rare in DeFi because most people don't understand this basic, which is a very hardcore rule of Web 2, really. So I think everything is in line with that.
Okay.
Thank you for elaborating on it. Kelvin, thank you so much for your questions. We have a few more questions coming up for other judges. So yeah, see you around. Let's go to the question of Alex Kovanchko, CEO of Aurora. His question is, what are the requirements for app chains besides the 75K transaction per second?
I think the most important thing is that within our app chain, it's basically a custom implementation of Rust. And let me be clear, it's not to be confused with the Starknet app chain, which is their native app chain as a service that they've launched. We have built actually our entire stack, but because it is Rust based, it will be future compatible with all the upcoming, sort of side chains, app chains, L3s, whatever you want to call it. The most important thing about the app chain is so how it's really working. Your funds and everything is within the safety of the L2s. Your order book sits on the app chain. We basically have a mirror trading account that mirrors the balances on the app chain. The app chain has its own block explorer. So fundamentally, whenever order matching is happening on the app chain, it is instantaneous. And the beauty is that it's not a black box. So you as a user can actually see that there's no front running, at what price the order's matched and everything. All of these proofs are then whatever you make or lose, the balances are basically adjusted by rebalancing it on the L2 wallets. So you get very high frequency trading. You get, even if the chains are slow, it won't impact your trading experience. But yet your funds are always safe within the L2s. The app chain currently, so we also have stage by stage decentralization for the app chain, as well as the ZKX DAO, which will happen in the current stages. We're going to be starting with basically close partners, because if there's any sort of upgrade or something that we need to do, it's much easier to do it in stage one, and then eventually opening it up for external validators and to the community to be run validators for this. And it's a step-by-step process, but it's also free gasless trading, so it's actually economically quite viable, extremely fast, and yet giving you the safety that you've always wanted.
Many thanks for clarifying. I believe Ivan has also a question. Please join us, if you do, of course.
Hello, I have a question on behalf of our community because they always asking this question about do you plan any incentivization programs? And if we see on the market there are a huge amount of these programs, so how can you be specific in this case?
So yes, two things over here. Number one, what we're launching with, which is the gamified trading terminal, over and above whatever position or whatever alpha you make over there, we are giving locked ZKX token rewards for the first 2 months, 3 months till we actually launch our token. So that is the number one incentivization program. Over and above whatever alpha you make, you will get locked ZKX tokens based on the performance, based on your position in the leaderboard. The other thing that we created for a constant incentivization program on the trading side was something called the high tide. The high tide algorithm is basically a reward distribution mechanism that takes into account top market, top traders, total number of traders in a market, and top P&L. And basis that, it could distribute any ERC token rewards to any market, which means, to give you an example, let's say if there's a new perp or new token that's launched in the market that gets listed as a perp on ZKX, basis to incentivize trading on that perp, that project can actually allocate some ERC20 tokens that we can load onto the high tide that can be distributed. We are already giving ZKX tokens as reward, but it also means that anything ERC20 stable coins I can load in there and incentivize trading on anything, which means that from a community perspective, it's an extremely gamified and engaging way for performance, social performance, and overall individual performance from a P&L perspective in any market. The other thing we have, and something we haven't made public, is we do have the usual volume contracts that we generally make, which is incentives basis volume and discounts. We did not want to make it public right now because we don't want just mercenary liquidity coming in, which means liquidity from very large market makers who would basically come in, grab the volumes, run the wheels, and basically take up most of it. And that is why we don't want to make it public as of now. We want everybody to have a very fair chance. But like most exchanges, yes, there would be some volume-based added benefits that we will be showcasing in the near future as we launch. But I'd like to keep some of them as a bit of a secret over there.
Okay, thanks. It makes sense. So if you one day decided to make some insights, so you're welcome to make an AMA on our channel. So
After launch, I'd love to do that. I can share a lot more, trust me. And when you see this thing, this is the kind of trading experience you've never had. I can assure you that.
okay, thank you.
Sounds great. Namam, also thank you. We're out of time. Looking forward to see you develop further, and have a great day.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. Cheers.
All right, so we will be moving on to our next showcase. Damir, get ready as we're about to bring Massa on stage. All right, let's go.
Hello everyone.
Welcome, Damir. Pleasure to have you on. Are you ready to showcase?
Sure, you can go for it whenever you want.
Lovely. I'm bringing your pitch deck on stage now and kicking myself.
Actually, that's the video. Can you put the pitch deck? It's the other.
Got it. Yes. All right. Feel free to start, Damir.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna start with a very bold statement. Existing DApps, DeFi, are not very robust nowadays. That's because if the team, for some reason, stops paying, I don't know, the web server, the domain name, or even external automation services like Gelato or Chainlink automation, the DApp stops. It's dead. And I think it's pretty sad because decentralized systems offer way more possibilities than this. And that's why we have gone for implementing a new kind of layer one from scratch. It's called Massa, and it offers two very complementary, very unique features that actually solve this problem. So first of all, we offer decentralized web hosting. This means that the blockchain itself is capable of hosting websites, and these websites are replicated on the thousands of nodes around the globe that we have. So it's fully resilient. You don't have to pay for any centralized servers, and it cannot be hacked. Another feature that's complementary to this is the autonomous smart contracts. So in Massa, it's the only blockchain where smart contracts, your backend, are capable of waking themselves up in time without having to be called from the outside. So this is very important if you want to remove the need for centralized services that will call your smart contract from bookkeeping. And when you fuse these two things together, I'm going to showcase a little demo. So if you can sort of switch to the other video, please. Yeah, thank you. So I'm going to showcase a quick video of a decentralized exchange that's launching very soon on Massa. It's called DUSA, and it has some peculiarities. So first of all, you see the address in the browser is a bit weird, dusa.massa. That's because when you have the Massa app installed on your computer, every time you type some a website that ends with .massa, it's going to be automatically intercepted by the software. The domain name is going to be resolved on chain, and then the system is going to load the website from the chain and into the browser. So there's no central service at any point in the whole pipeline, which means that the service, once deployed, cannot be stopped, cannot be censored, cannot be hacked. The same way as smart contracts, it's hosted the same way. And if you look at the product a bit more, you'll see that it also has limit orders and other unique features such as autonomous liquidity. That's autonomous liquidity rebalancing. So all these features and many new ones that are coming, for example, they just deployed in their current demo something called DCA, so autonomous trading bots directly on the system. All these runs without any central service. Everything is on-chain. So the website, the backend, the autonomy, everything is running by itself on the blockchain. And that's the first time this happens. So can you switch back, sorry, to the presentation? Yes. So basically, this means that Massa is capable of hosting your full DApp without you having to run any infrastructure on the side. You pay once, and you don't need to maintain any servers afterwards. And literally, your whole team can disappear. The system will still run forever. And that's the very power of it. But DUSA is not the only app that's running on Massa. We have a 150,000 people strong community. There's many projects building right now, ranging from games to DeFi. So I really invite you to check them out. They're really amazing. Right now, we have launched our mainnet 1 week ago. In 1 week, we have 2 million blocks produced, 50,000 transactions settled. There's a whole lot of things going on here. We're about to go public. So it's essentially one of the best opportunities now to invest privately if you're interested. The idea is we are going to grow the ecosystem exponentially after this. There's going to be liquidity incentives. There's going to be a whole lot of DeFi stuff going on, and we are very welcoming you to participate. So feel free to throw me any questions. I'm ready to answer. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Damir. I believe we have many questions coming up, so let me see in our community where I should start. Yes, our first question. Massa announced its sale on Republic, but has not announced yet the sale price. Is there any chance you can share some alpha about this at this point?
Unfortunately, we have signed some things that limit us from saying much because we need to align with the announcement agenda of Republic themselves. So we cannot really communicate alpha right now. I'm very sorry, but stay tuned. We're gonna publish everything.
Well, you heard it, folks. Indeed, stay tuned. Absolutely. Another question from the community. How much money have you raised in all previous investment rounds? Can you elaborate on that?
So Massa has started very early, 2020 approximately. In 2020, when we launched the company, we have gotten some public funds. The eLab contest, we won a lot of French public funds there. We raised a bit less than $1 million with also some small business angels. Then we did a first round of private sale for 5.8 mil. That was some time ago. Then we started another secondary sale on the side that's still ongoing. So we are open to still open to private investments. So that's the thing. We cannot really openly communicate yet because we haven't fully closed all the rounds. That being said, you're welcome to join us. We can discuss with this in private if necessary. And as for the public sale, it's upcoming, and we are going to announce all the parameters very soon. So stay tuned.
Lovely. Well, our VCs and angels, take your chance. Ivan, please.
Yeah, I have a question from Alex Shevchenko from Aurora. So how Massa is different from Near Boss?
Actually, there's quite a few competitors in that space. For example, there's Near that's deploying some things here. There's also ICP that has similar things, and even there's some storage chains that could compete on some sides of it. So, for example, Arweave is capable of storing very efficiently. There's Filecoin, etc. So all these guys are interesting, but Massa is very unique because first of all we support very low hardware. So to become a validator, you don't need much. A desktop computer, 100 coins, and you go. That's enough. So that's why we have thousands of people running our testnet. We had like 8,000 people on the testnet. Now we have already almost 2,000 people on the mainnet. So this is growing very quickly. We also have, in terms of entry barriers, the programming language is a variant of TypeScript. So any kind of web developer is capable of deploying on Massa, front end and back end. And in terms of technology, we achieve about 10,000 transactions per second with the technology we have. It's unique. It's been developed by ourselves actually in 2017. So the idea is that we leverage this technology to achieve very high throughputs, very high decentralization. We're aiming for a Nakamoto coefficient above 1,000. And also, we wish for the experience to be as secure as possible. We've been audited. We're ready. In terms of features, we are the only ones with autonomous smart contracts. Nobody else has that.
Thanks. Another question from Hugh May from Polka Starter Research. Are you looking for more fundraising platforms to work with? Very interesting question from Polka Starter Research.
Yes. We are in discussions with multiple platforms, but we are always open to contacts. We are always interested into seeing what we can do, especially to alleviate some geographical limitations we might have on some of the platforms. So we are always open to discussions. We can't promise anything right now, but we are, of course, open to contacts.
Okay, one more question from Nick. The question is on the side of Massa multi-threaded block graph. How often should the consensus be updated and how the parallelization will be implemented?
So parallelization already works. Essentially, there's 32 blocks being produced at the same time in the network as we speak right now. So in order to produce a block, you don't need to wait for the previous one. If you go on explorer.massa.net, you'll see the things happening live. So you'll see that there's 2 blocks per second. We already produced 2 million blocks. The consensus for now is not being updated. It works very well. We have a lot of capacity left. If at some point we reach 10,000 transactions per second, then we'll have to increase our capacity. And for this, we have already many ideas. But for now, we're going to stick to it and develop the ecosystem.
Lovely. We have one more question coming up from Alex from Aurora. The majority of the DApps require some kind of indexing servers to show info on the FE. How is indexing decentralized at Massa?
Okay, so the idea is that right now we are working on some software that does indexing because the idea is that Massa is high throughput. So the issue is that it's high throughput and high decentralization. So normal nodes running at people's homes, they cannot really store the whole history of everything that happened because of the high throughput. The compromise is that Massa has to forget about older blocks. So that's kind of the underlying question here. So what do we do if we need to store stuff? So first thing is, if you need to store explicitly stuff in your DApp, do it directly in the storage system of the DApp. Do it on-chain, store it on-chain. That's one answer. That's going to be kept and it's going to stay. If you want to index, you can actually, in the documentation docs.massa.net, you'll find all the streams coming from the gRPC ports of the node that allow you to actually store everything that your node streams. So as it streams, you can store it. And on our side, for our Explorer, for example, we provide an indexer that's centralized at Massa, but we recommend that everyone at their place indexes their own blocks if they need to. But for most applications, you actually don't. So it depends on what you want.
Great, thank you for elaborating on that. We have time for one more question. Let's see if there's one from our judges. Not yet, but I see a few from our community. Let's pick the first one. Now the team has a large number of roles staked on the validator. Where will the team spend the earned rewards from this validator?
So the team is currently staking a very small percentage of the actual circulating supply. So let's say if we manage to boost people staking, if even a tiny percentage of the people that hold circulating coins now start staking, and it's very easy to stake, we recommend they do it, will be completely diluted. So that's one thing. The second thing is that with these coins, it depends on which we're talking about, but we use them for internal activities, essentially. So for example, recently, with some staking rewards we paid some accountants that helped us set up the whole structure of the company. So it's not for personal use, obviously. It's really for the company activities.
Understood. I see we have more questions from our community. Dear audience, please cache your questions in the Massa group chats, in the Telegrams, Discords, whatever. Considering everything, Damir, thank you for your showcase today and wish you a great day.
Thank you.
All right, so we will be moving on to the next showcase of today. I will bring up Daryl from Tren Finance. So please get ready as you're about to come on the stage. Yes. Welcome, Daryl.
Hello. How are you?
Doing well, man. Great to have you on. And I hope you're ready to kickstart your showcase.
Sure. Let's do it.
Amazing. Bringing it on the stage now. All right.
Great.
It's all yours.
Well, me. So my name is Daryl. Obviously, I'm the founder of Tren Finance. So just a bit of background. I started my career as a proprietary trader. FX indices quickly went off into DeFi. And I got hooked on yield farming. As you guys probably know, DeFi summer was amazing. Then bounced here, back and forth between, projects built layer 1 in Abu Dhabi known as Phenom. And now I've just come back to the roots of where it all started, DeFi, by building this protocol Tren Finance. So let's go right into it, a bit of the problems that I see in the space. So my biggest reason for really building this is because I want to build a protocol that caters to people that have the same problem that I do, right? You have a lot of yields, you have LP tokens in your wallet. And the worst thing that in DeFi is when you can't use your tokens for anything else, right? When you have these LP tokens and you're not finding any compatibility in any other protocols, and they're just left in your wallet. I decided, why can't we fix this? Why do several protocols only have around like 28 supported assets, right? Like MakerDAO, most of them which are wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped Ethereum, staked Ethereum, so forth. So we decided to actually go ahead and build Tren. So basically the vision is, imagine day one, 100 pools are going to be launched, right? This can be anything from meme tokens to LP tokens, to even liquid restaking tokens, liquid stake tokens, vault tokens, all of that. And it comes down to the flexibility of the architecture. We've seen that lending overall is not new. CDP protocols are not new, but they still have the old approach of taking the shared pool architecture, right? All of the assets are in one pool, and adding one single asset to the pool is going to pose a major threat to the whole protocol. So we decided the securest way of doing it is isolated lending, of course. Now, this isn't new. There are a few protocols that have isolated lending. The only problem is they're trying to create a permissionless environment where anyone can create a money market, cool as it sounds, but people aren't supplying both of the assets to actually facilitate this. So we combined the isolated lending part with our own stablecoin called Tren USD, so we can actually provide liquidity to any of these isolated lending pools, ensuring that anyone can actually go ahead, put their assets in the protocol, and take out a loan of Tren USD. Now, keep in mind, this can be used for your LP tokens. This can be used for even your meme tokens, just to show how flexible it really is. But even vault tokens, on-chain options, and so forth, right? Here you can see one of the new use cases. Here we have someone that has their Pepe tokens. Thought it was a cool diagram to add so you guys could see as well. He wants to sell his Pepe. The other guy is putting his Pepe in the protocol, take out a loan, and then pay off his fine. But really, this is just the simple use cases, right? The cool part about it is you have Tren USD, this stable coin, and you compare it with other yield-generating assets to actually have a yield-bearing stable coin, right? And the flexibility is you get to choose which asset you want to have yield from. You could have a real-world asset in one pool, get stable coins from there, and get the yield from that if it's a yield-bearing real-world asset. It can even be, staked ETH. It could be restaked ETH, like what we're working on at the moment, and plenty more, right? Then next to that, we have leverage, so pure spot leverage from your assets. So it's different from SEXs or perp protocols. You're actually using your spot assets to just loop back into the protocol, right? So you're borrowing Tren USD, it's swapping it to your collateral assets and completing that loop. So this loop, it's really special for spot assets because, as we know, we're getting lots of rewards on these assets. One of the use cases that we have here is, for example, on Stargate, right? If I'm staking with my 10,000 USDC on Stargate, I can have $838 in a year. But if I use it with 30x leverage, I can get $25,000 in a year. Of course, it's hypothetical. We know that real life, the fees, slippage, and price impact, we do have to take that into account. But the same goes for Lido, with leverage staking, and soon even leverage restaking, which I'm very excited about. You guys can obviously tell. Here's a quick look at just the capabilities, right? Now, this isn't all fully finalized. There's going to be a lot more. Some are going to be taken out, but it's just to give you guys a sense of the vision here, right? On the one side, you have treasury bills, but on the other side, you have tokens like Pepe, Shiba Inu, Dogecoin. And on the other side, you have LSDs, even options, right? And even ALM vaults from Gamma, Arrakis, and so forth. Now, just before moving on to the next slide, I know a lot of you are probably going to ask, like, how were you able to do this in a safe manner, right? There's a reason why these assets have not been put in the protocol. Well, we wouldn't be able to do this if there weren't advancements being made in like Uniswap v4, TUM implementations, and a big part of it is actually being able to customize a pool to our liking, right? All these tokens are different. They all have different characteristics, different liquidity, different volatility, so forth. So why should the money markets for them have this one-size-fits-all approach? The core idea is that every single money market can be tailored to the way that is most appropriate for that asset. That means different interest rates from variable to linear to even liquidity-based interest rates. And the one I'm most excited about is the time-weighted average market maker. So you guys probably know with traditional lending or CDP protocols, when you're putting in your asset here, say Pepe, you're taking out a $10,000 loan. Next time you come back, you've paid interest on that loan, you'll see that the Tren USD balance has increased, right? The TWAM actually allows us to liquidate collateral every single block piece by piece so that we don't actually just accumulate bad debt over time, right? As the loan increases, it's actually harder to liquidate that in the future. So our
Please
approach...
note, you have 1 minute left.
Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm rambling. This is going. Well, yeah. So the TWAM actually ensures that we can liquidate collateral piece by piece, every single block. We tried to do that a couple of years ago before we were on the verge of this. We all know we would have to pay a ton of gas, but luckily for the TWAM, that's not the case. Next to that, we have a liquidation bot, which ensures that we're always safeguarding our bad debt. And this is also used to provide value accrual to the token. I only have 1 minute left, so let me just speak about the token. So the nice thing here is, as I just mentioned, we are the only lender, right? Tren USD, we're the sole provider of it, putting that into each of the markets that we have. So that means that all of the supply side interest is actually protocol revenue. So when you're looking at the borrowing fees, the borrowing interest, liquidation fees, that's all protocol revenue that's being used to buy back the token, then burn the token, which benefits all the holders in the ecosystem. A part of it gets allocated to stakers, which ensures security by staking their tokens. They get a part of the protocol revenue, but if there is a shortfall event, they will have to cover that. I can tell my time is up.
Exactly. Nevertheless, thank you so much. It's cool. As we've seen before, it's quite a challenge to compress all the features. Nevertheless, a top-notch showcase. And I will kick off again with our beloved guest, bringing Kevin on for a question. Welcome back.
Hey, well, how you doing? Kaya, thank you so much for bringing me on. Darryl, a quick question for you.
Sure.
What are the fees for leverage trading, lending, and leverage restating, etc.? And how do you ensure that these are attractive enough for users from a risk to reward perspective?
The fees?
Yes.
So that's a good question. The main way that we kind of set these fees is it depends on the asset that we're offering. If we're offering an asset that has been offered in all of these different protocols, the only way to be competitive is by offering fees that are lower, right? That's how you're going to get people to actually use the protocol. But if we're offering the assets that we have part of the long tail strategy, so they're niche and we have a monopoly over them, it's not really about the fees because capital efficiency probably isn't the play there. Accessibility is. This is the only place where they're going to be able to use these assets. So in that sense, they are going to be higher than usual, but people should be happy that there is a place to use their assets. Otherwise, they're sitting idly on their wallets, right? A clear indication like a value I can't give. It really depends per asset, but that's a bit of the strategy behind deciding them.
Okay, so slightly higher fees, but more accessibility to potentially higher gains as well as a long tail strategy, lower liquidity tokens.
Correct.
Fair enough. And do you have any more information on how you calculate those fees?
Those fees, it's really just looking asset by asset, looking at various on-trade metrics. For example, if they have a high concentration of people that hold LP tokens, it's a bigger risk. If they have low volume, it's a bigger risk. All that kind of stuff. If low liquidity, it's a bigger risk. And depending on that, We use a combination of frameworks. We think EVAA has a very good framework that they use, so their asset methodology framework. It's tried and tested. They have excellent guys looking at it, the guys from Gauntlet, so we take a lot of that into the approach as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much.
Hey, thank you, Kevin. See you on the other side. I see we have one burning question coming up again from Alex from Aurora. How do you handle liquidations of low liquidity or high volatile collateral with a 95% capital threshold and 30x leverage?
Good question. I wouldn't know how to handle that because we don't. So there won't be a time when we use low liquidity tokens with 90% capital threshold. Like, to be honest, we said up to 30x, right? It's marketing. When I say up to 30x, I'm referring to like USDC, try to tested assets. But again, if it's like a low liquidity asset and part of the long tail assets that we choose, the play is accessibility and not capital efficiency. So they won't be able to get 30x leverage. Just have to be honest, right? They could be happy with a 5x leverage. But then again, can they go anywhere else? No. So they kind of have to choose. Sorry.
Got it. Thanks for the... Totally. I appreciate your honesty and Degens, chill out.
Yeah, 30x on chain. Nah.
It's mad. Also, clearly you're using tokens from different chains. Where is the protocol deployed, and can a user simultaneously use all 100 tokens as collateral? Sure, they could. If there's Tren USD in each pool, enough for them to use all of them, sure, they could use them all at the same time. There is a difference though, like how they're using them, right? It's not the standard approach that they're putting in all of these tokens and they can take out one big loan of Tren USD. It's specific to the pool. So like they can't just have, if they're providing like $10 million worth of collateral in a pool that has like 0 Tren USD available, they won't be able to borrow, right? It really depends on the pool. Each one isn't money market by itself. Where's the protocol deployed on? Not deployed on yet. Launching on Ethereum, then Arbitrum, Optimism, but very open to other ecosystems. At the end of the day, we are blockchain agnostic and also narrative agnostic in that sense, because whatever the next hype narrative is, or where the interest is, we're very keen on integrating tokens and finding ways to put them into the protocol. Great interoperability for the win. Welcome back,
Ivan. We have a bit time, right? So we have a question from our partner, Majinx, Ruslan. What will be considered as your unfair advantage feature compared to competitors and similar products? How is your product different from what is already on the market, and why it is better?
Sure. So this product, the whole tech stack is really revolved around how to integrate what people would call the high-risk assets into a CDP protocol, right? How could a big competitor compete with this? Well, they couldn't. The big ones are EVAA, Compound, so forth. Like we've mentioned, right? They're multi-pool, they're shared pool architecture. If they try to put in one asset and somebody manipulates an oracle, then yeah, the whole pool is gone. You know what I mean? So that's one big thing. And like I said, it's a long tail strategy, right? There's 2 ways to get to 100 million TVL. You can have 5 assets that contribute to 100 million with 20 million TVL each, or you could offer 100 assets that each contribute 1 million TVL. So it's looking for those niche opportunities, catering to a specific set of people, but being able to capture the market share there.
I see. Thank you. Kaya, do we have another questions, or we can switch to another pitch?
Yes, I believe we're also out of time, so let's keep on moving, considering everything. Daryl, thank you for your time today, and all the best with the...
Make sure to read the docs. There's a lot more in there.
Got it. You heard it, folks. Hey, have a good one. Cheers.
Good one. Bye.
On stage. Yes. Welcome, Dimitri.
Hello. Great to be here.
Hey, a pleasure to have you
Thank you
on.
for hosting me.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to experience your showcase. So if I can see your slides, yes, I'm bringing it on now and feel free to kickstart.
Sure. So my name is Dimitri. I'm one of the co-founders of Primex Finance. We are a non-custodial prime brokerage protocol, and let me explain what it is. So Primex is essentially a non-custodial and fully decentralized protocol that basically connects traders and lenders in a way that traders could borrow, could seamlessly borrow from lenders and use that liquidity to amplify their trading positions on existing DEXs like Uniswap, Curve, Balancer, and a variety of others depending on the chain where they're deployed. And on top of that, on Primex, there will be more use cases on top of directional margin trading on DEXs, such as, for example, leveraged LPing as well. And we'll be actually integrating it with a few more DeFi protocols, and I'm happy to talk about this later. So here are the problems that we're solving. The key one, the first one is that actually the main goal for us is to solve the problem of over collateralization. And for us, it's actually what Primex provides is the possibility to borrow from lenders in a fully decentralized but still under collateralized way. Imagine you can, for example, deposit 1,000 USDC. You can borrow four more thousand USDC and use that 5,000 to essentially open a position on DEXs, basically by making the first swap. And you can also exit that position by making another swap. So it's sex-like user flow and sex-like trading experience, but on DEXs. On top of that, we of course solve the fragmentation issue as well, because we aggregate multiple DEXs, essentially providing more depth for traders. With that in mind, we can say that there is pretty much unlimited possibility of adding more assets to trade. So it's pretty much unlimited unlimited possibilities for new listings, and that's also quite important because it's deployed on top of DEXs, integrated with DEXs. And we are going to support more oracles. Currently, we're relying on Chainlink, but there will be more price data feeds that we'll be using, and that's also what we're solving. Obviously, it's accessibility. Anyone can trade. There is no limits with regards to regions, and given that we're not a derivatives protocol, we have some less constraints related to it. Yeah, so how it works. First, we are a two-sided marketplace. It's important to understand. We have lenders on one side. Lenders contribute liquidity to the protocol. And the so-called credit buckets, lenders provide liquidity in just one single asset. They're not exposed to any impermanent loss. While traders lock some collateral and borrow that lender liquidity from a bucket to essentially open a position on the DEX. And we also have the third role, which is called keepers, which are community-hosted bots that monitor trading positions and orders and execute liquidations and orders on behalf of the protocol in return for PMX. They're also part of our token utility. So we actually assume that with time going on, it will be a significantly better liquidity utilization on Primex compared to existing lending protocols, simply because it's under collateralized. Also, we are going to add, basically list more credit buckets, more liquidity pools for lenders to passively earn a yield. There is already quite a few assets on the three chains where we are deployed, but the list is unlimited. We'll be adding more. We're also working on the fixed interest rate feature. It's not the part of our next version, but still quite interesting. And there is some development related to cross-chain lending as well, to essentially optimize the Primex liquidity pools and use them cross-chain. Here is how the UX, how the interface looks, and for us, it was important to obviously make it similar to what people have, to what people experience on centralized exchanges. Of course, we don't have an order book because we're essentially another liquidity layer that is sort of another liquidity layer on top of DEXs, and we don't match orders, but you can see some really similar parts of the interface where you can, for example, set up your take profit, stop loss, pretty much automate your trade, and also manage those positions in real time by, for example, changing your collateral or leverage, and you can trade on DEXs. In the next versions, we are going to also introduce cross-margining. Currently, it's isolated. So yeah. We are also working on an SDK to essentially integrate, to onboard more institutions. We already have some interest from larger players in the space. And of course, Primex could also be utilized for RWAs trading as well. Of course, everything that is tokenized can be actually traded. So on Primex, of course, we need to AML and KYB that liquidity that is coming from both ways, from both sides, and we need to integrate with sort of KYB and AML DEX, but it's still a possibility. We have pretty much a straightforward business model. We have a so-called protocol fee, which is basically paid by a trader to when the position is opened. And this fee is partially collected to treasury, and some part of it is being paid to keepers as well for the actions that they do on behalf of the protocol. We have so-called leverage fee. It's a really small difference between what traders pay for the liquidity that they're using and also the interest rate that lenders are farming. We are going to introduce so-called listing fee for essentially adding more credit buckets for creating new liquidity pools on Primex to essentially list new assets if you compare it to a centralized exchange. And there is a small withdrawal fee just to incentivize keeping liquidity in the credit buckets for longer periods of times, but it's just really small. We have a lot of utility of the token. So we have obviously the protocol fee that can be paid in PMX. We have keeper rewards, which are also partially paid by in the PMX token. We have the so-called liquidity mining program, where we have incentivization for early lenders and traders for early volume and TVL. In the next versions, we are going to introduce so-called PMX-based tiers for traders to essentially lock some amount of PMX to get some permanent discount on the protocol. And we are also going to add staking opportunities to make our keepers work in a consensus, because currently they're competing with each other, and there is a lot to optimize. So what we are raising for, we are raising to extend the collateral types that our protocol supports. We are going to next make it possible to essentially use leverage to LP on DEXs like Uniswap and its forks, because there is a lot of demand for it. And what is also important, we are also going to introduce cross-margining, so that, for example, you could open directional positions and simultaneously you could open leverage LPing positions to hedge, and PNL in one position could be your collateral in the other position. And this way you could build really sophisticated hedged scenarios with multiple positions within just a single protocol. So that's what we're raising for. Here are some of our backers, and yeah, I think that's it. Thank you.
Amazing. That was right on time. Thank you so much, Dimitri. We have one question coming up from Polkastarter. From a crypto economic perspective, which of the participants do you think is most important to bootstrap with token incentives, lenders or traders?
Well, that's a great question. Actually, I would say that traders come first, because obviously traders already have some functionality and they can automate their trades even without leverage. And once there is volume, of course, there will be interest for lenders. So I think that in our case, traders be somewhat prioritized compared to lenders, if that makes sense. But speaking about the specific rewards as part of our liquidity mining program, it's more or less equal. We have some thoughts about how to balance, rewards for volume and also TVL. But yeah, I think it's more or less equal.
Lovely. And could you elaborate a little bit more on how do you plan to attract traders to Primex? As in, how do you incentivize them?
Actually, there is a few ways. So we are working with some trading communities. So currently we're just starting to scale because we've been testing the protocol on mainnet for a few weeks. We had to update it quite significantly. And we have some interesting campaigns related to our app specifically to onboard new users and incentivize them, of course, for their volume. And on top of that, it seems that our trading widget, which actually supports limit swaps in different kinds of positions, is interesting to some DEXs that essentially want to integrate us on top of their AMMs. So imagine you could, I cannot really say the names, but there is a few DEXs interested in basically enabling limits and positions on top of their DEX without, of course, aggregating many DEXs. And that's another way how we are going to attract some existing user base that, instead of swaps, could also trade with leverage on some DEXs.
Loud and clear. We have one more question coming up from Alex from Aurora. Which DeFi protocols is Primex integrated with?
We are DEX dependent, so we are DEX complementary. So obviously we are integrating with pretty much all the uniforks, which is easy for us. We are also integrated with Balancer. We are integrated with Curve. So pretty much quite a few DEXs and their forks. And there will be, of course, more integrations. We'll be supporting some other DEXs, I mean, by architecture, not necessarily forks of those that I mentioned, but on top of DEXs, we're also integrated with AAVE, because we are actually putting that liquidity that is being until we actually launch the credit bucket, we have some specific threshold, the minimum amount that is needed to be actually attracted to a specific bucket. We actually put that liquidity to AAVE, for example. So there's another integration, and we're also thinking about integrating with more protocols to essentially make the trading positions cheaper, because once you have some liquidity locked in an open trading positions, it can be actually used somewhere to essentially make it cheaper, because you'll be getting interested off of it. So it's quite interesting. So there will be more.
That's really good to hear. Yeah, considering everything, Curve, AAVE, they are one of the forefronts in the liquidity. So great news. I believe you have one or two questions left, or at least the time for. Let me check if something is coming up from our judges.
I guess Kevin wanted to ask online, if I'm correct. So Kevin, if you're ready, let me know. Because he wanted to enter the studio, but you can still ask. I can ask a question, like what's the maximum leverage amount users can apply?
Depends on an asset. We have some different parameters for max leverage depending on the previous volatility of that specific asset. So it's being sort of calculated in advance. There is some heavy mass related to it. I think if it's Bitcoin, it's up to 7-8x, but we'll be making it higher, not like 2 times higher, but I think it's possible to achieve something like 13, maybe 14x. For Ethereum, it's, I think, almost the same, but for smaller tokens, like 4 or 5x for now. But there is some degree of optimization that is definitely coming as well. So we still need to see how the protocol performs over time, because we wanted to start with really conservative parameters first, if that makes sense. But it's different. If you, for example, trade one stable coin to another stable coin with leverage, I think it's higher, of course, leverage, because stable coins are less volatile, obviously. So if that makes
sense. Absolutely. Thank you for clarifying. Also, Kevin just joined us in the pre-stage, yet has no question. However, I would like to shoot a final one. Are you aiming to introduce additional features such as DCA and copy trading mechanisms on a later stage?
Possibly, yes. Actually, we are, but it's important to understand that we are not going to, compete with sort of trading protocols. Our positioning is a bit different. We are not like, for example, functionality wise, we are not like GMX. We're not a zero-sum protocol, right? We are integrating on top of existing DEXs. So for us, it's important to essentially allow more use cases for leverage rather than working on improving trading functionality. We think that our interfaces are already quite good. Of course, there will be some improvements, but possibly yes. But we are prioritizing some other things, I would say. And those are different leverage use cases, like like leverage LP on Uniswap and its forks, and for example, LS on Lido to essentially stake as leverage as well. So we are actually thinking about those first, if that makes sense.
Thanks for clarifying. We're also out of time, so there were some great insights about you, and a pleasure to have you on board. Dimitri, have a great day.
Thank you so much. Thanks for hosting me. Thank you.
All right, so we will be moving on to the next showcase with Yellow Network. Luis, get ready as I'm about to bring you on the stage.
Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Welcome, Luis.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great, moving from showcase to showcase and very excited about yours. I see we have a demo and deck. I believe we will kick off with the deck, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, bring it on now and you may kickstart.
All right, so I'll be presenting a project our team has been working in the last 4 years. So the Yellow Network protocol, this is a DeFi protocol, and I think we have an innovative approach here. Next slide. Should I do the next slide or I do it myself, right? Yeah. Okay. Thanks, guys. So what's a common biggest fear when trading crypto? And we already know the answer, between DEXs and centralized exchange, it's mainly what we call the counterparty risk. So the hacks, the scams, the rug pull. But at this stage, we can say that in crypto, the consumer protection does not exist yet until now, because we are launching the Yellow protocol very soon. And the vision is to help any DeFi and trading participant to make better consumer protection and deal with counterparty risk, so reducing it. So what is Yellow? First, this is an ERC20 token. It's a utility token similar to Ethereum gas, and it's fueling another network that is not a blockchain. This is more similar to the Lightning Network. This is an overlay network supercharging all existing blockchains. So the overlay network, so this is implementing a decentralized clearing protocol. And as a reminder for those who don't know, I pulled the Wikipedia definition here. So basically, clearing is everything that is happening between the trade to the settlement. So in traditional finance, you don't prepay your trades. You don't deposit the funds before making your trades. You just open a trading account with a collateral and you pay your trades after. And there is a lot of optimization here. And I can say that, clearing is the secret sauce that has been scaling traditional finance to the planetary scale as we know it, to the $1 trillion market and mainstream without blockchain. So, they had horrible environment because they didn't have the chance of having blockchain. And surprisingly, we don't use clearing in crypto. So to introduce a little more about Yellow Network. So Yellow Network, again, is an overlay network sitting on top of every blockchain, and it's a high-frequency clearing network. So you could think of it a bit like Visa or SWIFT, but here we are clearing not payments, we are clearing trades, basically. So there is many benefits in simply clearing or using smart contract-based clearing. So it's capital efficient by design. Obviously, all Wall Street, all traditional finance uses it because it's capital efficient. It's more capital efficient than settling every trade every time you have a trade. The approach we use is using state channel and makes it infinitely scalable. We don't have a blockchain. We don't have consensus bottleneck here. We have a reduced latency. So, for example, Binance is in Tokyo. At any point on the globe, you will take about 200 milliseconds to get there. And with our decentralized approach, you can just connect to the nearest broker on the network. This is fully non-custodial in a way that the the customer is never handing over his asset before the settlement. So we are drastically lowering the counterparty risk. So not much chance or risk of having unsettled trade because it's insured by the clearinghouse. The main benefit here that we like the most is the ability through this overlay network to unify fragmented liquidity. So there is all of these pockets of liquidity in different L2s. By making L2s, I think we did the environment worse. I think it's necessary though. But the fragmentation is, at the worst level we ever experienced. And I would say, our goal, our idea here is to not move what we should not be moving. So we're not moving the pockets of liquidity, we are reaching them. Overall, I'm very passionate about scaling Ethereum ecosystem, and this is a good example of a technology that can bring a lot of decongestion on L1, L2s. And I think we need the bandwidth for other more valuable transactions such as settlements.
Please note you have 1 minute left.
Okay, then I will. So do you have time left for the demo?
Depends. How long does it take, Luis?
I would need at least 2. It depends if you guys want to see it.
All right, I am giving you 1 more minute just because you're doing an amazing job. Let's go.
No, let's switch directly to the demo. I think you guys heard enough, and let's see a bit this in action. So if you can just click play on the demo, and yes. I will be commenting. Okay, so this is a terminal. This is more for testnet users excited to join and reach the early days of the Yellow network. So this is a desktop application you can download on Mac OS X and other platforms. You can see here a bunch of broker nodes already connected on the network. So these are access points you can connect to. Here the user is selecting MetaMask. So he's going to be connecting first his wallet to the terminal. And then we will see the user opening a trading channel to a selected broker. So the reason for choosing a given broker would be by locality. So, for example, the closest broker to you, or eventually the one offering the most consumer protection, so is regulated in your country. So here we see the user is going for Germany. And he's going to be selecting, retail trading package, and Prime would be, more for B2B trading volume. So today, this is on testnet. We're working with Linear, and so this is something you guys can join our testnet these days. So here we see that he's looking at the connection configuration. So basically, he's configuring the collateral on the state channel. So this is establishing the state channel with the counterpart. He's signing, this transaction. So I would like to mention that we support abstract account natively, but the demo you see in here is using classic Web3 MetaMask wallet. So here, the connection is established with the broker. And that's a bit like I open my margin account with my broker, and he's going to give me access to all markets. And so here we are talking about spot market, but unified liquidity of assets that are cross-chain. So all of these assets are visible, I would say, in the order book. The demo user is making a couple of trades, so you have a very, perpetual DEX user experience. But this is more for demo purposes because we are not launching an exchange. We are in the clearing business. So our business model here, our position is to help brokers building their own trading platform. So what I would call crypto brokerage. I'm sure I'm way over my minute.
Indeed so. Thank you so much, Luis. It was quite refreshing to see an actual demo instead of only pitch decks. I see we have one question from Hugo May from Polka Starter. What is the biggest innovation in state channels the last few years that had made the technology more viable relative to the current roll-up obsessed industry?
So yeah, for me, I would say, I would like to mention and give the heads up to DeFi protocol, which are, I would say, Yellow is not replacing the DeFi environment, but supercharging. So our main focus is making trading off-chain fast and accessing all of the markets. So simplifying this for the user. They don't want to navigate bridge and those kinds of things. So it's kind of, the problem of blockchain of like centralized users and decentralized users. But maybe, the best, I think, technology that really helped us by magnitude is the evolution of smart accounts or account abstraction. This totally changed, I would say, the way you use the terminal and you get you constantly get your settlement into your cross-chain wallet. And this is just a great user experience. And this really saved us a lot of research time.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying. Also from my side, DeFi, security gaps in DeFi remain quite a big challenge. So how do you tap into these challenges?
That's a good question. So, I mean, I'm a bit of a security nerd myself, and I would say, you can't audit everything, and there will be always like exploit and issues. And so my principle of security is simplify the vector of attack. So just simplify the protocol at the most essential. In our case, for Yellow, the state channel are extremely simple smart contracts. Use what works, so Uniswap or things that are being battle tested. And I would say finally, be resilient to failure. So hacks are going to happen, just you don't want to have a catastrophic cascading hack, right? So you don't want something to have a single point of failure and withdraw all your assets from your network. So in our case, we are extremely decentralized in the way that if you want to hack the Yellow network, you need to hack all of the brokers of the Yellow network. I mean, if you want to get access to all. So you may be able to, attack some region or some locality, or you may, attack a specific DeFi protocol interaction with Yellow. But I think distributing is a great way to segregate the risk.
Got it. And are you currently audited or aiming to be audited on the short term?
So the roots of the project, we're working with, the Filecoin guys on State Channel. So they've been on it at least 4 years like us. We're working on it with Consensus. So we are constantly audited. We're writing academic paper you can find online on statechannel.org. And the auditors, I would say it's a regular practice we need to do.
Lovely. Thank you so much for clarifying. We also have a premium partner on board today, Hacken. So if you seek to get in touch with the team, hit me up. I can get you a 50% discount.
We know each other very well. We are both in Ukraine, in Kiev. So
got it. Well, considering everything, we're also out of time. Luis, thank you for your remarkable showcase and wish you a great day.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Take care. So I gotta say, we had to switch up our timeline today due a little issue. I'm happy to bring actually the guest still on board that couldn't make it on time. We got zkLink coming up, also a champ because it's midnight for him. So really looking forward, Neil, to bring you on stage. Get ready as you're about to come on. Yes, welcome, Neil.
Hey guys. Hey Kaya. How are you? How are you doing?
Doing great, and I'm so happy you still could have made it. What time is it now at your place? I believe it's quite late, right?
Yeah, it's just about 12:30.
Okay.
But you know, like a blockchain doesn't sleep, so neither do you, right?
Perfect. All right, then let's move on, mate. I see your deck here. Bring it on now, and feel free to kick off.
Right. Cool. Hello, everyone. I'm Neil. I'm from zkLink. I'm basically the PR lead of and also communications, and I'm here to present to you today about zkLink. And we are basically the multi-chain layer 3 infra for high-performance ZK apps. So before I begin, I'd just like to show you guys what we built out in the last year. We've had about 90 over strategic partnerships, and we've integrated with over 60 networks. And during our experience with testing out our mainnet, we've got 2 million people, and from that, you know, it encouraged 3 dev teams to build 3 different ecosystem apps on us, and I guess they kind of really like what we built, because the community that we got from it was well, this is a little bit old, 310K. We're at now 380K now, and we have about 300K Discord followers. So a little bit story of how we got here, guys. Mainly comes down to the problem which we're trying to solve, which is basically a lot of pain points that we see happening in decentralized exchanges. The first and foremost problem here is liquidity fragmentation, where liquidity is siloed across blockchains. We also saw that, you know, for developers, they had a lot of problems with deploying multi-chain, where, you know, you had to discover, you had to go really deep into discovering a new language of different chains. And then, of course, when you do multiple chain deployments, it is a security concern, and not to mention the high resource cost that is associated with, you know, deploying on different chains. So what we've done is that we try to envision like an entire future of what happened if you could access thousands of chains from one deployment, and it is secured by the paramount of DeFi security, which is ZK proofs at this case, and that's when we built out zkLink. So like this is a little bit lot to take in, but zkLink basically has 2 products that we do this by. We've got a layer 3, and we've also got we've got layer 3 and also a layer 2.5 as the settlement layer, and then followed by the whole execution layer, the sequencer layer, and D8 layer. The thing here to notice is that with the layer 3 that we have on zkLink Nexus, you could build your dApp chain on top of the layer 3, and then you could fully customize your entire app protocol so that, you know, you could have very niche and custom specifications for your dApp. In some cases, you're going to need some if your dApp's like an NFT marketplace, you're going to need some high frequency trades, and also the same thing going on if you're an exchange. So you're going to need to to customize different areas inside the TSZK VM, and of course you could also improve your data storage with your DA layer, and also you could eventually change up the sequencer. So we do 2 things. We've got first a layer 3. The layer 3 is basically a ZK rollup multi-chain layer 3, where it sits on top of other layer 3s, and that connects you to the likes of ZK Sync, Scroll, and then Scroll, Polygon ZK EVM, and eventually it goes back down to Ethereum. And we all know, if you're familiar with ZK proofs, 1 ZK proof on Ethereum mathematically equals 1 ZK proof on another ZK rollup like Scroll. But if you're on a layer 3, 1 ZK proof mathematically equals into 1 ZK proof across multiple layer 2s and ZK rollups. So you can imagine the impact and power that this layer 3 has. The next thing here that we have here is a zkLink origin, which is a layer 2.5. This layer 2.5 is basically it's a settlement layer which connects to both optimism rollups and parallel EVMs through a through a translator that we have inside. We call it a light oracle network, a ZK oracle, and we've done this. In order to achieve this, we've developed our own proof called a multiple asset recursive proof validator, I think. And you could check all of these out in the technical documents, but basically use a layer 3 if you want maximum security and speed, and a 2.5 if you want maximum connectivity. Here's a basic overview of our TSZK VM. You got your aggregation layer, your execution layer, your storage layer. I'm not going to go deep into this because it's only 5 minutes. So I'm going to go straight into what happens if you build a custom app using this TSZK VM, and you get a oh, this is okay, never mind. I'll get into like the use case later. But basically, one of like the benefits you want to build on a TSZK VM, you have multi-chain asset and liquidity aggregation for the DeFi, for the liquidity fragmentation. You've got a single deployment plug and play into multiple chains, exceptionally high speeds and low costs, and transactions and off-chain on ZK proofs, simply because the TSZK VM is a dApp rollup. Yeah, so I want to go straight into like the use case for what we have here, and this is a ZKEX.
Please note you have 1 minute left.
Okay, this is ZKEX. It's a multi-chain order book DEX, and that gives you basically a CEX-like user experience that's secure and efficient and easy to deploy for market makers. So what we have is, a ZK rollup for multiple ZK rollups. If you want to compare it to the Lord of the Rings, it's really one ring to rule them all. So tokenomics here, we use it for gas, governance, proof of markets, and a rollup infra license fee. And on our roadmap, we're finishing up building out the ZK VM circuit and extension, and we've got other technical upgrades coming along in the roadmap. We've also got some ecosystem support for liquidity and also developers. Feel free to check out our socials to find out more. And of course, we've got about 16 networks here. I believe it's 17 as of last week, and we are backed by some of the best. We've got Solana Ventures in here, Coinbase, Huobi, and with the likes of Crypto.com as well. So I want to leave you guys here with this, right? We're building basically the blockchain of value. This is the multi-chain layer 3 built for high-performance ZK dApps. And if any of you are interested into finding out more about zkLink, feel free to send me a DM or follow us on our socials. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. It was a truly remarkable showcase, and the future is ZK, I believe. I see we have one.
zkLink.
Hey, let's go. You heard it, folks. I see we have a question coming up from Nir from Mirchwave. I will bring him on stage. Nick, come and join us. Please check your microphone. I believe you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Just found
Welcome.
Hey, Nick.
Yeah. Hi, Neil. Hope you're doing great. Thanks for your presentation. And I have a question about the type of the ZK proofs, because you're connected to so many networks. So what are basically the types of the ZK proofs? Are you using Snarks, Starks, bulletproofs, some combination of them? Because different networks use different proofs and the top types of encryption. So wondering about that.
Yep. The short answer to that is ZK Snarks. Right, that's actually how we started building this out in the first place. We intended to only keep it to ZK based products, right? And but eventually we found out that the market wanted more connectivity, so we had to develop our own proof validity system, right? It's called the MARPV, which stands for multiple asset recursive proof validation. I don't want to go too much here into the details in this presentation. But feel free to check it out on the docs, or you can message me on Telegram. Not a worry.
Yeah, thanks. It would be awesome to know. And also, I see we have a second question. It was interesting for me and interesting for someone else from our judges. So, how do you attract builders to zkLink, and what basically is the go-to-market strategy for zkLink in general?
Thank you for that question. So there are two things here. Like from what I understand, it's both a marketing question and a developer question here for the ecosystem. I'll start with the developer ecosystem. We've got essentially a community developer incentive program coming up in the pipeline, where we deliver a lot of support for new developers to come inside. Part of this involves training. Part of this involves access to liquidity. Part of this involves access to resources that like some developer teams do not have. We have that in the pipeline coming up. It's going to come out somewhere in Q2. But in terms of like our go-to-market strategy, like we're launching a token first. In fact, right now we are in the middle of a coinless community token sale, which will be out tomorrow. And following that, we will be having a TGE coming in at Q1 2024, somewhere around the time of like late March. As for like yeah, I know I think I answered both questions, right?
Yeah, seems so. Thank you for your answers.
Yeah.
And like we have the other questions. Kaya, would you answer it?
Absolutely. Thank you, Nick. One question from my side. Let me see where I wrote it down. I strongly believe that utilizing privacy systems is a key to onboard institutional money flows to drive the adoption. For example, through private transactions, which is an amazing use case that can be enabled through zero-knowledge technology. Are you mapping out to bring such features on zkLink?
Yes, that's a really important question, right? I think there is a lot of debate on anonymous transactions happening and proving systems with ZK, right? Like I think the biggest use case here in the space and what's quite arguably talked about is not just is basically identification proving. It's a solution which can be adopted by both governments and banks when it comes to real use cases. The short answer for us here is that yes, we do intend to get this ongoing here. But I think this is also like something that's that other projects are working on. We want to focus on building out trading infrastructure first, which is what we set out to do in the first place. But because we have such a robust TS ZK VM, we noticed that we can actually take it a lot bigger than just trading. This could mean that we could start making NFTs and NFT marketplaces, central limit order books, AMMs. We can even create like a roll-up as a service type of offering in our product. And I think along the way, as the technology improves over the next couple of years, we definitely see a crossover between institutional use cases and also for the masses.
Lovely. Thank you for elaborating on that. Ivan, welcome back.
Thank you. I have a little question about decentralized sequencer service. You mentioned it. So could you briefly explain to us in simple words what is this service about and what its potential? Thanks.
Okay, thank you for the question. So decentralized sequences. I mean, sequences are sort of like the holy grail of sequencer, like in the whole like architecture, right? As far as I'm aware, right, right now we intend to decentralize the sequences later on, but for now it will be centralized. I think a lot of it hinges on the future technology, but we are in talks with decentralized sequencer providers. Let me just bring that up really quickly.
Just to clarify, we're on the same page. It's in your slide, right? Or coming up on another screen, Neil?
It's on the slide, I guess. It's
okay. We briefly spoke about it on the slide, right? But like we didn't leave any sort of like partnerships in there, mainly because a lot of this is very hush hush. But I think like the top three, if like the top three decentralized sequencer providers, we are already speaking to. So like I think like for the sake of like for the sake of confidentiality, that's as much as I can tell you guys.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Ivan, I believe you have one more question from Majinx. Would you like to ask that one?
I think yes. You mean that one? A very strong track record. What are zkLink looking for now to strengthen in the Web3 market?
Okay, I'm glad that you brought that up. Thank you for the question. I think earlier Kaya pointed out a really important question, which was how are we introducing? Oh, sorry, it was Nick. How do we introduce more developers into the ecosystem? I think right now we are at a point where we are finalizing the TS-zkVM circuits. So part of that right now is that now that we have done the product, we need developers to come in and help us, build on top of it. So if you're a dev team looking to build something cool on the layer 3, you're up for a challenge, do come over and check us out. You can feel free to reach out to us on our socials. We offer grants. We also offer liquidity support, and also like marketing and other campaigns.
I guess. Thank you.
Yes, I have one
Are we
more
out
final...
of time? I have. Okay.
Let's do one final question. This is I'm quite curious about it, and I believe lots of folks too. I've noticed you're using the DA of Celestia, Eigenlayer, I believe, and Polygon, which are quite hot ecosystems. But recently I noticed that using the DA of Near Protocol is actually about 28 times cheaper. So could you elaborate why you have strategically chosen to use these DAs instead of, example, Near Protocol's DA?
Well, I mean, like we probably didn't put Near up down there because the slides only fit 3, right?
Got it.
But the reality here is that when you're building a protocol, a dApp rollup on a layer 3, one of the key things that we offer here is very high customizability, and that is entirely limited to the tech and the bridges between the protocols and the service. So the fact that Near is 28 times cheaper than the competitors, I'm sure the other competitors would have their own strengths as well. And it all depends on how specific and custom you would want your data collection to be.
Absolutely,
yeah.
That makes sense. Fair enough. Thank you for clarifying. Considering everything, you have a remarkable project. It was a pleasure to have you on. We're also out of time, so I wish you a great evening or a good night. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. Take care. All right, so we will be moving on to our next showcase with EVAA Protocol. Yes, Eugène, please get ready as I'm about to bring you on the stage. Please note, I can't see Eugène yet at the pre-stage. I believe we will move on within a few seconds, so hold on.
If we have another project, we can let them be first and then get back to that one. You're muted. You're muted, Kay. Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. I just noticed that Eugène is tuning in now. Let's give him 10 seconds max, and if not, we will be moving on to Lynex.
I can make a musical pause. I have this opportunity. So when he will be online, just let me know.
Yes, right on time. I see Eugène is here, so I'm about to bring you on stage. Get ready. Yes, glad you made it. Welcome, Eugène. How you doing?
Hello, hello. I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. I see your slide now. Bring it on. We'll friendly kick myself off, and you may kick off too. All right, let's go.
Great, let's get it started. So I'm Eugene, have a privilege now to represent the EVAA Protocol. So I'm here to talk about how we can unlock the potential of Telegram ecosystem with first lending protocol on Ton. So when we started our journey 1 year ago on the hackathon, there was no lending and borrowing protocol in Ton. As you see, there was no even like Google results on that query. So without lending protocol, as you might know, there is a limited trading and earning on Ton on any DeFi ecosystem. There's no such a tools that can help to boost the DeFi. So the solution for EVA is like bringing and keeping the liquidity on Ton. It's funding way for ecosystem projects, leveraging Telegram users and providing decentralized margin trading on the open network. Our product feature is native Ton and wrapped assets. It's basically integration with the Telegram through Telegram mini app with also different partners. And obviously, it's one crucial thing is EVA software development kit, which will be which will allow the different protocols and the new ecosystem players to create custom stablecoins for base token farming or simple leverage for a DEX UI on top of EVA. The supply and borrowing through the Telegram mini app, we believe that we have the best user experience in the world of DeFi because obviously through the 3 clicks, you are able to lend and borrow right in Telegram with our mini app. Let's talk about the SDK and how it can help us and the whole ecosystem. So obviously, it's a seamless integration with different wallets, DEXs, and other protocols. It's like one button DeFi solution for Telegram channels and the mass adoption. We might hear about the new upcoming trends called the social fi, and we believe that the Telegram could be with the Ton could be up runner in this new trend because of massive user base, and what our protocol is providing on top of that is also really crucial for every social fi or friend tech projects. Ton best practices for the lending and borrowing protocol, yes, always low fees. It's half of the dollar, easy to scale, and fees are always really low. Comparing, for example, with Ethereum, which the scalability is hard to achieve, is basically impossible to achieve with high fees, which are not suitable for a big amount of users and the retail users. So let's talk about the business model. With our projection with a TVL over 76.5 million estimated, and the business model that based on origination borrow fee, which is 0.1% and 20% fee on borrow APY, the estimation annual revenue that is going to DAO is over $1.6 million. Let's talk about the go-to-market strategy. So step 1, obviously, is a liquidity program supported by Ton Foundation and first suppliers and first borrowers that is coming because of basically the first step, which is Ton liquidity program that is boosting the ecosystem. The step 2 SDK integration with wallets and DEXs, B2B solutions for liquid staking, and more. So basically, as a one and only lending protocol on Ton, is crucial for all the liquid staking tokens to basically have opportunity to loop those tokens and have more use cases. And one more thing is the NFT lending, which you might know that basically on Ton, there are probably the best use case NFTs, such as anonymous numbers and usernames on top of Telegram. So it's also crucial for those users who are willing to use their NFTs as a collateral. And step three, it's the EVAA token. That's like utility, and this is like liquidity mining program. So basically, we are incentivizing our suppliers with the EVAA token for basically the main purpose is to boost the TVL of the entire ecosystem. Let's talk about the testnet numbers. We are the biggest. We were the biggest testnet in Ton ecosystem, with over 13,000 testnet monthly active users. And basically, as you see, mainnet waitlist participants, it was closer to 200K, with a 10K really active, with almost 10K really active testnet forum feedbacks. So that was probably like the biggest and the most active users in the testnet. Regarding the partnership and the collaboration, we might see pretty much everyone in the ecosystem. The biggest player, the launchpads, DEXs, wallets, different DAO protocols as well. We also like auditors, well-known auditors, and the Oracle solutions as well. Something about the team, we built like different team members already built the DeFi protocols, so we are experienced in the different ecosystem as well, and we are also well known in the Ton ecosystem, and basically started our journey within the hackathons with the activity, like different contributions, etc. We are backed by the Toncoin Fund, Wagner Ventures, and Existential Capital in our pre-seed round, and as well as one of the biggest holder of a network of Telegram channels as Angel. Our different Medium articles as well regarding the pre-seed stage, and you can find basically more in our social medias. Funding goals are 1.5 million through the soft for the next 12 months for the seed to cover seed round. The money will go through the protocol development, marketing expansion, and legal setup, more security audits due to new upcoming features, now listing to the taxes, etc. For overall evaluation is 18 million. That's basically the TMEA example of our user interface inside the Telegram, and the needed QR for the mainnet, so you can try it on your own. Just scan, and here you go in the Telegram through the mini app.
Lovely.
So that's basically it. Hopefully it was right in time, and I'm open to answer questions.
That was right and tight on time. Thank you so much for your showcase. We got another question from Yugame from Polka Starter. Let me see. I'm bringing it on now. Stay tight.
I can see it.
Please, Ivan.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello. So what are the good and bad from building on Ton?
Good. I would say now we have only better parts, to be honest. 2 years ago when we started, it was much harder to start. There was lack of the proper documentation for the tooling for the builders. So now we see more and more Launchpad, biggest players also coming supporting Ton. So now it's much easier to start. So
okay, so
yeah,
the main bad idea was not develop infrastructure 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, I would say there's a start.
And the next
entry
question.
point is,
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say that the entry point it was not that easy as well due to fancy like smart contract programming languages. Now we have Tucked, so more projects. It's more like, you know, human readable, I would say, closer to Solidity. So the other developers could also use it, and it's much easier to start with.
Okay, thanks. And the next question. So you natively build in Ton. Can we expect in the future expansions to other blockchain networks?
I would say since we start on the Ton virtual machine, we might consider only the other Ton virtual machine ecosystem. But now we have only focused on Ton, since we have lots of stuff to be done and finished.
Okay, lovely. I guess we have a judge coming on stage.
Yes, we have another question from Nick from MergeWave, bringing you on now. Welcome back. Please check your mic again.
Yeah. Just checked it. So yeah, the question on my side is about like the tokens on the apps on the testnet. As for now, I can see only 3 tokens, 2 stable coins and Ton basically. So when do you plan to add more tokens to the app, and what the tokens will you add first?
Yeah, first of all, yeah, native Ton, 2 wrapped like basically Jeton, USDC, and USDT. And upcoming tokens that we are focused the most, it's the LSD, liquid staking derivatives. Since we have like the best use case right now in possibility, we have 5 liquid stakers, like liquid staking protocols, and 1 lending. So it's pretty great use case for us and for our partners as well. So we focusing on those tokens.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, first of all, congratulations on being the most active app on Ton. That's a great achievement. And Ton is quite rapidly also evolving as a network and is also designed by the bright minds of Telegram, which kind of every Web3 user uses, of course. So my question is, are there any direct synergies for Ton builders like you with Telegram, like any integrations for DeFi?
Well, like as a builders, we just use this, the framework that Telegram is provided through the mini apps with just simple SDK. So there is no that kind of like synergies. But as you might hear, like it was announced the partnership between Telegram and Ton. So like of our, we're trying to leverage like the user base, obviously, and everything that Telegram is providing through the Web3 ecosystem as much as we can.
Lovely. Well, you got some traction. I see one more question coming up. Yeah, again, a security question. Security in DeFi is quite a big challenge. So how do you tackle security gaps on EVAA Protocol?
Yeah, great question. Think about that. We're going through the audit from like the people who know the Ton virtual machine the best. It's like the core developers like of Ton themselves. So we're going through the audit by them.
Understood. We're also out of time, so thank you so much for being on board today, and all the best with further developments.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Take care. All right, so we will be moving on to the final showcase of today. Pretty excited to bring Ignacio from Lynex on board. Please get ready as you're about to come on the stage. Hey there, how are you doing, Ignacio?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me. A pleasure being here.
A pleasure for us too. It's great to see you again. Yeah, I see the slide is already on stage, so feel free to kick off and enlighten what Lynex is all about.
Sounds good. So Lynex is a liquidity marketplace built on top of the Linea ecosystem that aims to democratize liquidity provisioning while creating zero-knowledge dark pools within its liquidity marketplace. Our goal is to make complex liquidity strategies available to anyone and lower the barrier of entry for the average user when it comes to liquidity provisioning. I know how familiar everyone is with concentrated liquidity, but it's something that came around a couple of years ago, and as its core, it creates a new layer of complexity over the traditional automated market making strategies. Like the average user doesn't really know how to manage their own concentrated liquidity positions, and this can lead to a lot of impermanent loss and not even being able to capitalize on these opportunities. This created a new vertical on DeFi and on the crypto space, which is the automated liquidity management. And currently, there are like many liquidity managers, many professional DeFi market makers, but these market makers don't really have the awareness or the reach that they should have. And the average user doesn't even know that automated liquidity management is a thing. And with Lynex, we aim to address this. We aim to lower the barrier of entry, and we aim to give the reach that this type of strategies deserves. So what we're trying to do is to level the playing field for the average user. At the end of the day, when Uniswap came out, it was like, okay, anyone can become a liquidity provider, and they did a great job with their simple 50-50 liquidity pools. Nevertheless, when concentrated liquidity became a thing, it was no longer the case. If you didn't know what you were doing, if you were not a professional, you weren't a competitive liquidity provider. So we're aiming to level up the playing field by enabling anyone to create these complex strategies, or anyone to actually participate of existing strategies and enjoy this passive liquidity provisioning experience that was so common a few years ago, and now it's not really very possible with concentrated liquidity. We are going to do this by aggregating different liquidity managers and creating basically placing them in a space where they are competing to maximize the profitability of the liquidity providers, to create like an environment where always the goal is to maximize the fee revenue of those participating. Additionally, to create like good incentive alignment between the protocol and the liquidity providers, we're implementing something that is called options liquidity mining, which is something that rewards the liquidity providers with an options on the protocol token, and they will have different paths that they can choose on how they want to redeem their option to capitalize their efforts as a liquidity provider. Here we can see a diagram of how this can potentially look for a liquidity provider. So you're a liquidity provider, you come into Lynex and you see, okay, like what is my risk appetite? How much fee revenue do I want to have? And what type of asset do I want to be exposed to? And relative to this, you can pick the path that makes most sense for you. For example, we have some strategies that are focused on providing single-sided liquidity. So let's say you want to become a liquidity provider, but you are long on ETH. So you don't want to be exposed to impermanent loss on ETH. We have strategies that enable the user to have a maximum amount of ETH that is exposed to the price deviation. For example, we call these single-sided strategies, and they are provided by an ALM called Ichi. And all of these strategies go into the same pools, but they are managed and balanced differently. This creates a highly capital efficient decentralized experience, but also it enables these different managers to compete among each other. So I believe, and we believe at Lynex, that this competition will greatly enhance the efficiency of the liquidity positions, greatly increasing the fee revenue for the liquidity providers and for the protocol itself. And how does the protocol work? How is everything tied together? So the core token of the protocol is the Lynex token. This Lynex token is a governance token that is used to decide on how the rewards are distributed on the liquidity with the liquidity providers. Those who are voting with the Lynex token, which is a locked form, also known as vote escrow, they direct the emissions towards these different liquidity strategies, and also they can direct their emissions directly to different strategies such as Ichi, Arrakis, Gamma, DeFi Edge. So basically, those who are creating the strategies are competing among each other to maximize the amount of votes they get. And those who are voting, they want to maximize their fee revenue. So they will vote for the strategies that are the most profitable. This creates a very positive flywheel and puts everyone who is creating strategies in a position where they really need to take care of their liquidity providers, but also they really need to take care of maximizing the fee revenue within the protocol. Additionally, if you are a protocol and you want to create liquidity within our ecosystem, you can potentially offer incentives for the people voting so they can vote for your own liquidity. This helps protocols bootstrap their liquidity within our ecosystem. As part of our go-to-market strategy, we are onboarding many protocols into our ecosystem. including algebra, prion, gamma, tina, bifi, orbs. And we are mainly focused on stablecoins and liquid staking tokens because we believe this is the type of asset that creates strong liquidity positions, and it also has a low impermanent loss, and liquidity providers have high appetite for this type of assets. And these protocols are working with us to come into Lynex, make it their main liquidity hub, and continue cooperating with us. Additionally, we are targeting communities from similar DeFi protocols with our airdrop and looking to make them come into the Linea ecosystem and also make them come into Lynex to claim their airdrop. We are looking into the most active wallets, the most valuable users of these DeFi protocols, and targeting them with our airdrop to make sure they also have a chance to become valuable members of our community. So as part of our go-to-market strategy, we have a very early mover advantage on Linea. We're one of the first protocols to deploy there. As I mentioned, we have like DAOs that are cooperating with us. We have the community airdrop. We are continuously looking to onboard new protocols to become liquidity providers and also to participate on our ecosystem through incentives. And currently, we already pre-launched the protocol on the ecosystem. Nevertheless, we are still pretty GE, and even at this stage, we managed to get a pretty good volume relative to our liquidity, showcasing how efficient these strategies are proving to be. We have launched 2 incentivized testnet campaigns and many campaigns to continue to grow our community. We have plenty of testnet transactions and a lot of active wallets currently on mainnet. And we are currently getting ready for our launch on TGE, and we are currently cooperating with many launchpads such as DQ8 and ChainGPT, which are going to help us execute our public sale. So on our roadmap, we have our token generation event upcoming. We're going to do partner onboarding campaign, basically creating deep integrations with liquid staking tokens. We're going to enable our strategies program, which it also opens the strategy creation for anyone and not only ALMs. Then we are going to start focusing on the zero knowledge dark pools, which is an implementation that not only enables large scale private transactions, but it also enables MAB protection by obfuscating the transaction data. Those who are swapping on Lynex are going to be protected from MAB, and this creates optimized trading conditions. Currently, the team, even though it's a monkey face over there, I am a guru. That's how I mainly know in the Web3 space. I was also a co-founder of ApeSwap almost 3 years ago. And through my experience with ApeSwap, which is now known as Abond, I built a whole range of DeFi expertise, DeFi network, and information about how the liquidity strategies work, how to optimize liquidity provision, how to create the right incentive structures. And during my years in the crypto space, I even had the amazing opportunity of co-author an ERC 5725. It has been approved 4 months ago, and I'm incredibly happy about this achievement. Working with very like-minded people, our lead Solidity dev has worked with protocols securing over 700 million in TVL with never loss of user funds, no exploit, and we have like a wide range of combined DeFi experience. Additionally, we have some top-tier advisors such as Movis Ledford, who has been the CTO of CoinMarketCap previous of his acquisition. He has added a lot of value for us in the technical side, and many others that are helping us drive this forward. Finally, we are working with some top-tier partners such as Consensus. NXGen is one of our first believers. DQ8, who is helping us launch. StakeTone is our main LSD protocol. Thank you. And Orbs Network is a layer 3, which is helping us integrate things such as limit orders, swaps, and they are also going to be onboarded as liquidity providers. And well, thanks everyone for listening. And yeah, I'm happy to take any questions that might have come up.
Yes, thank you so much, Ignacio. Ivan has also a few questions, I believe.
Yeah, I have first question from our judge. It's Hugo May from Polka Starter, very active judge. Thank you for questions. So why are you building on Linea? What is your view on the ecosystem?
That's a great question. So here I'll address it with my bullish thesis on Linea and the ecosystem. I think that most people know Consensus, most people know MetaMask. We know this is like one of the most OG organizations within the crypto ecosystem. MetaMask is the most used wallet, and Consensus is launching Linea while also being the owners or managers of the most used wallet. I do believe that if a user has MetaMask, the odds of the user being an active DeFi participant or an active blockchain user are pretty high. So I do believe that MetaMask is potentially the best distribution channel for user acquisition that anyone could hope for. So I believe that by leveraging these synergies, because at the end of the day, it's the main company, Linea as a layer 2 has an unfair competitive advantage over any other layer 2 or even layer 1. I don't think there is any other blockchain out there that can tap into the most used wallet like Consensus and Linea can do it. We already seen this type of integrations. I mean, Linea was added as a default network into MetaMask. You can bridge for free using MetaMask from Ethereum into Linea. And we're going to continue to see this type of integrations that, in my opinion, once, like, let's call it the new users, the newbies start coming in, they are going to go into MetaMask and they're going to see Ethereum expensive, Linea cheap, and the decision is going to be very simple. They are going to come to Linea.
Thank you. By the way, nice glasses. I can't admit.
Thank you.
And also, we have a question from our community. So, do Lynex have a plan on concentrated liquidity and liquidity manager, or it is already implemented?
No, so we have this already implemented. Our strategy right now is not to be ourselves the liquidity managers, but integrate with existing liquidity managers that are already out there in the market. And by integrating with multiple liquidity managers and aggregate them, we put them in a very competitive position where they actually need to maximize the fee revenue. We are currently integrated with Steer, Ichi, and Gamma. And we are looking to also onboard DeFi Edge, and we are open to onboard any established liquidity manager, of course, after due diligence, make sure that everything makes sense, that they have a track record, audits, etc. But our goal is to integrate as many liquidity managers as we can.
Thanks for elaborating on it. We have one more question coming up again from Nick. I'm bringing you on the stage. Welcome back.
Yep. Hey. Hope you're doing great. Yeah, I just wondering about your LP AML matching engine. Can you elaborate a bit more on how it works? Do you have some parameters behind it, or like the neural network that you can like match the requests?
So, well, first of all, our concentrated liquidity infrastructure is built on top of Algera. This means that we have concentrated liquidity, but also a dynamic fee model that is adjusted relative to volatility and volume to maximize volume or fee revenue relative to market conditions. In terms of the strategies and how they are rebalanced, managed, and all of these parameters, at the end of the day, as we are offsetting this responsibility to, let's call it, people that this is their core business. Like their core business is managing liquidity strategies such as Gamma, Anichi, and so forth. Each of them, they all have their own different set of parameters and different type of strategies that get different inputs and outputs. For example, Gamma has like Gamma narrow strategy that simply measures like current price ranges, and when it's out of range, it rebalances. On the case of Ichi, they focus mainly on single-sided strategies where they try to keep most of the liquidity on a single asset to minimize impermanent loss. And again, when the asset starts getting out of range, what they do is they put a bunch of limit orders close to the price to make it go back to the asset it is. Nevertheless, as new liquidity managers start to be onboarded and arise, I think that a whole new range of strategies are going to happen. Like many are going to start leveraging AI. They're going to start creating complex strategies. And I think that this liquidity management field is continue to grow, but we don't aim to be the strategists ourselves, but we aim to give this up and coming trend of strategies a platform to put their strategies on.
Got it. Thanks for the reply.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Considering everything, Ignacio, thank you for your time. We're out of time. It was a pleasure to have you as our last showcasing guest on today. So looking forward to your launch. I believe it's quite soon, right?
Yes, it's target the 15th of February. It's going to be our TCE. Nevertheless, the protocol is already out there. We have a pre-mining campaign ongoing. And yeah, we are already on mainnet, but yeah, TCE is coming soon. And yeah, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Our pleasure too.
Have a good one.
See you around. All right, Ivan, we have experienced 8 showcases and wrapped up. That was quite an experience, right?
The cast was really great. I really loved the pitches. And I guess we can ask our judges about their impressions of these casts. So you can welcome on stage our judges.
Absolutely. Perhaps you can play one more time the 30 seconds music video as we will onboard all the judges on stage.
Not a problem.
Yes, all right. So we will be moving on to our panel discussion. Welcome on board, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Nelson. Let's
Hi,
kick
guys.
off with a little introduction. I see a few new names here. Perhaps, Nelson, you can kick off with a brief introduction about you yourself.
That's more than fine. How are you all? My name is Nelson. I am the global head of HR at Gate.io, which is a centralized exchange, as most of you, I would hope, know. I'm also a consultant for Web3 startups and founders, helping them roll out and design their HR strategies and operations. And I sit on a couple of advisory boards for 2 VCs and 2 accelerators as well, where they allocate me to support the projects that they are helping. Also in working with the founders and developing their HR stuff.
Thanks for the intro. Nikkei, you want to pick it up from there?
Yeah, I can take it. So, hey everyone, I'm Nick from the EVAA Capital and Solus Group, basically head of IR, head of investor relationships, also an advisor and a consultant for different Web3 startups. Also working in the investment fund, which is EVAA Capital. Just to clarify, EVAA Capital is an M&A brokerage and is not a VC itself, but we have a huge network of VCs for the fundraising needs and stuff. So if you're wondering and looking forward to any fundraising, you can just DM me and I will be happy to talk with you. Thanks.
Lovely. Well, Kevin, perhaps you can share one more little intro about yourself for the guys that hopped on later.
Of course, happy to do so. So my name is Kevin. I'm the co-founder of MetaBros. We're an incubator. We have helped projects like AIT, EC, PalAI, Inspect, Mino, and many more with their growth strategies on the KOL side, but also the social side, all the business modeling, token economy, the race, etc. So we work basically from A to Z. Also, other than that, I'm the co-founder of MindMeld, which is a VC firm that works in a similar fashion as Paper Venture, where we focus on seed, pre-seed, strategic sales, etc. So for all your inquiries about growth strategies and marketing, I'd be happy to give my 2 cents on your ideas and just to reflect on it. So feel free to DM me anytime at Trader Wojak.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. I see we also got Hugo from Polka Starter, one of the leading launchpads out there. Please give us a little introduction about you.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here. My name's Hugo. I lead research at Polka Starter. This includes the Launchpad as well as our own internal early stage fund, as well as the accelerator that we run with essentially the idea of taking projects to market and helping them get ready for, which is often a TGE event, essentially.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying. And last but not least, Nick Long.
Hello, everyone. I'm Nike Long and work with Unicorn Factory Ventures Fund. This crypto venture fund with Ukrainian roots in analytics department, and happy to see here.
Amazing.
Also, we have thank you. Also, we have joined Kevin Ricoy from Solana Foundation. Nice to hear you, to see you here. Please, a few words about yourself. You're welcome.
Hey, everybody. Good to be here. My name is Kevin. I lead community relations at the Solana Foundation. Before that, I was the head of growth for Kick Messenger, if you know them, KIK. Really great to be here. Great projects today.
Great. So I have a few words to say. First of all, thank you all for joining us, because it's very important for the pitch ecosystem, for Web3 ecosystem to see such a good project, such a powerful Web3 guys here with us. And so if you don't mind, a few words about the cast of this pitch session. And also, it'll be interesting to update your scope on investment decisions and experience to gain a better understanding of what are you paying attention to at the moment. So what sort of investment areas are you currently most interested in, and are in your opportunities that will be on the forefront for the next few years? Thank you. We can start from anyone who want to start. So we can from the upside, like Nick, and then go to the.
I can start. So basically, at our venture capital fund, we are mostly looking into the ZK as often into the DePIN right now, because it's like a kind of narrative right now. The PIN ecosystems are like huge, also like data infrastructures and data empowering systems. And stuff like that. Always looking into the DeFi as always. So kind of bullish on what Lynex are doing myself. So I think we'll contact them later, because I had them like literally today from 4 different people already, and see you on the stage as well. So it's great to hear from them, and probably contact them later. Yeah, but the pitch session was great. Thank you. The projects are awesome. Know most of them like for a couple of months, or even in case of the ZKX more than a year, but still great guys. Thanks.
Thank you, Nick. So we can go on to Nelson. Please share your opinion.
Yeah, so obviously from Gate's side, we're always looking for projects, looking to get listed and have a pretty solid roadmap. I'll get back to this in a minute. As mentioned, I also work with a couple of VCs and accelerators, so I'm more than happy to be approached and take any projects here from today. I've made a couple of notes on ones I will also kind of either reach out to Incrypted or reach out to the projects themselves, because I think they have a really good chance standing with some of the people that I work with. So within that, already a very high value afternoon today. And regarding then what I saw for the pitches, maybe this is not the most popular opinion, but I would wish to have seen a little bit, I won't say less time spent on the tech, because that's important, but more time spent on the roadmap. Yeah. So if you're looking at a pitch from this side, you either understand the technology or you don't. And if you do, you don't need a super deep dive into breaking it down to the minutia of it. And if you don't, you're also not going to get it in the 3 minutes that you spend explaining it in a pitch. From an investor's perspective, I would much rather be taken on a trip through your roadmap, and maybe spend a little bit more time on your roadmap and saying, okay, if we're going to partner together for however long it's going to be, this is what a trip with us can look like over the next 6, 12, 18, 32 months, whatever. Now, I know this isn't comfortable because it's crypto and it is the bear market. So it's not, understandably, it's not where most founders would rather spend their time. Obviously, the tech is much more exciting to talk about. But if I'm making a split decision based on 5 to 10 minutes on whether I'm backing this project or wanting to spend more time with it, if I understand, again, the technology, I got it in the first 30 seconds. And if I don't, I'm also not going to get it in the next 3 minutes. Yeah. So what I will get is where we're going together after the time we have in front of each other right now. So from my side, I would have rather seen a little bit more time spent in breaking down the roadmap rather than the tech itself. But that's me, and I'm sure this is not the most common opinion out there, but it is.
That's a great point. Thank you. I guess it's the echo of the bear market where people just focus on the tech things and less on the roadmap things. I guess they will rebuild their pages during to the bull market. But thanks, it's a very important thing. So Nike, how the pitch session is for you, and what are you interested to invest in, in the next few years?
Good questions. First of all, my opinion about this pitch session is all projects is level up. I'm happy to not see NFT or any like these projects. All projects is deeply technical, but I say don't not popular opinion too, because a lot of projects create like a fresh in commas idea, but this is not fresh idea. This is just a new chain or L2 or L3. We can see in previous rounds, in previous two bull markets, this is projects, and I don't speak what I'm happy to invest right now. Of course, zkLink is maybe first projects when my see and stop. But in general, where I invest in 2 or 3 years, what you question that you asked me, I don't have strong opinion because
it's okay.
I'm very bullish.
Okay.
I'm very bearish C2 market.
Okay, so
right
you're not ready to invest in anything except zkLink because they are on CoinList tomorrow. Okay, thanks. So let's go to Kevin. Kevin, you're welcome.
Of course, thank you. So what Nelson, I completely share your opinion. Within the 3-minute pitch, it's like most important thing that you grasp the concept immediately. If any more information is required, or if you don't understand it within the first sentence, then it's going to be quite difficult to explain it to other people or to pitch it to other people in general, which makes the target audience immediately smaller, right? So, and I would like to add to that for me personally, as an investor or as an incubator, first thing I look at, even before I look at the concept, to be honest, is the token economy, because everything at the end of the day in crypto or in investing is mathematics. And if I see major red flags within token economy, such as extremely long cliff periods or very high inflation or incentives that are too favorable for investors or not favorable for the project at all, where they cannot build a treasury, then I know it's going to fail, right? So that's in my opinion, token economy is the most important thing. The rest is just marketing. And well, I'm saying just marketing, but it's the second most important thing in my opinion. So if you got these two well combined, then you got like a pretty golden formula. So I'd say token economy, and after that, I would look if the go-to-market makes sense and if the solution actually solves a problem. Because more often than not in crypto, I see solutions being made up that are not like focusing on even a single problem, right? There's problems that don't exist. People are seeing ghosts. So those are the two most important things. I think in general, very good pitches today. I think ZKX does an amazing job on making everything very seamless. Excuse my throat. And that does seem like a very good solution to me as well as Tren. I'm a big fan of them as well, as it appeals to a very large long tail audience that has not really been tapped into. So I'd love to learn more about it.
Thank you. Thank you. Hugo, the most active judge in our question session. You're welcome. Thank you.
No, it's a pleasure. So from our end, PolkaStart as a launchpad naturally has to consider what does going to market look like for a project. Now, I think from our end, what a lot of projects discount, especially where we are with this industry right now, is that there's quite a bit of projects that come out on a monthly basis. It's very difficult to compete in this industry right now, as even some of the best technical projects still have to find a way to stand out. There's so much that you have to do to get a bit of attention. And I think a lot of projects have to just naturally lean into what is speculation. They have to lean in trying to showcase to people that they're going to make money. And unfortunately, and fortunately, it is a feature of this industry. So we try to work closely with projects and trying to understand if they are going to market in a way that is not just technical in terms of the product, but also in their ability to appreciate what it is they're doing in a Web3 environment. And what I mean by that is, are they designing on the short run trying to please investors, which naturally they should? Like institutional investors come along, they have to find their bit of benefit in terms of why they got involved with the project. But as a project goes to market, let's say through a token sale, naturally through us, they have to keep those investors happy. Then it comes down to what does the secondary market think about them? And the ability to navigate those complexities that often align with the token is very, very important for us. So we care about a project that they have to do what I think the industry refers to as tokenomics, trying to get those numbers, vesting schedules, cliffs, all those things in line. But also then they think about what is the longevity of something that might be closer to open source technology look like. And that could mean, do they actually have an interesting idea in terms of what does the token do? I think in the future, at some point, the chickens are going to come home to roost. And then essentially it comes down to, do you distinguish your project on decisions you made when you launched, or do you have to then constantly navigate new types of problems? I think that's the way we look at it.
Thank you. Thank you for your opinion. So we're moving to Kevin from Solana Foundation. So
great.
Your opinion about the cast of Pitch Session and a few words about spheres you're interested in for the future.
Yeah, so in terms of the presentations we saw today, so first of all, amazing level of talent and ambition and intelligence. Always also from a human level, I always appreciate the courage to come up and present your product and development to other people and everything behind that. Some notes that I have just generally, I think one is, and this kind of piggybacks on what Nelson was talking about, is like really refining that messaging to the point where I think in this audience, maybe it's going to be a little bit different. We're all very crypto savvy, so we can talk about the innovations of state channels and ZK proofs and things like that. But I think we sometimes are so used to playing this inside baseball game with each other that we forget that a lot of people have no clue what we're talking about. So, you know, like we were saying before, if it needs to be broken down to that audience, then you're probably got to break it down. And if not, there's no really need to like really get into it and rehash all these other things. So choosing the audience, refining the messaging. Another thing is, I think, laying out the business logic around different design decisions and that you're implementing. So like I sometimes see a very interesting mashup of different blockchains being supported that have totally different design implementations. And so I'm always kind of left wondering, what is it that led you to choose to support this blockchain and this L2 and this availability layer? And, you know, I'm sure it makes sense to them in their business plan, but it's something that I'm left wondering. And then another thing is, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more of this in our industry in the future, but more products that are facing for the mass consumer market. I think a lot of times we're very like engineer and finance based industry, making products for each other that we all love to use. But you know, that game is changing, and I think we'll slowly start to see that. But I would love to see more of that. Things that we're looking for, I'll speak to two different perspectives. So one, from the foundation, of course, we're a nonprofit. Our main thing is we really love open source public goods and tooling, things that help everyone, DAO tooling, developer tools, things like that. But also from what I'm hearing in our ecosystem and, our network of different allies that are in venture capital, one, DeFi, of course. I think DeFi is a marquee feature of crypto. I don't think it's going anywhere for a very long time. Real world assets, we think that could make a really huge resurgence, now that we have new technology and new ways of scaling that we didn't have a few years ago. DePIN, totally agree with Nick. Decentralized physical infrastructure is super interesting and a new field that we think could have a huge impact in the real world for people's lives. And then just, consumer apps, payments, things like that. I think that there's a lot that we could do with those two.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for sharing your thoughts. Before I move on to the second topic, I also want to note and challenge you all, if you want to tap into someone's thoughts or have some type of burning question, definitely don't be shy or hesitate to open your mic and get into it. So what I was wondering, when investing in an early stage company, I believe the only constant is the founder, especially in these early stages. For example, a project can pivot and especially a market can significantly pivot. So my question to all of you is, as a backer, how do you evaluate and build a strong conviction on the ability of a founder that it's actually able to effectively execute and strategize in this rapidly evolving environment?
I'd say most definitely receptiveness. Some very smart people in this space, there's two different types of people, right? Like there's people who think they know it all, and there's people who think they don't know anything at all. I like to work together with the people who are very smart, but they think they don't know anything at all. So this way we can bounce back ideas back and forth, right? I don't know it all. I'm not trying to claim that I do. And, I would like to learn from founders, and I would like to ask very simple questions, maybe some questions that they have overlooked. Maybe they have things that I have overlooked. And this way we bounce back and forth. But sometimes when I talk to founders, they're very, very stiff in their belief systems. And then it becomes very difficult to work together. And I think, yes, they might have very good ideas for go-to-market or for initial plans and may work out. But what do you do in the second wave, the third wave? What do you do when new narratives start taking over? What do you do when competition start taking over? They have to switch strategies, and all of a sudden, these great ideas that did work in the beginning, they don't work anymore. So you got to be receptive. You got to stay flexible at all times. And I think another less, smaller and more obvious note is just communication in general. Like, how responsive are you? Are you constantly busy and you cannot respond to people? Or have you everything so well put together that you do have time and energy for these kind of conversations? So when I talk to founders, these are kind of things that I'm observing, right, before engaging any type of business deals.
That's a bunch of good points, Kevin. I think from my perspective, it's whether the founding team does have some sense that they are crypto native. Unfortunately, this industry, you have to be adaptable to how things change, but also appreciate that there's always something interesting tomorrow. And that also shouldn't mean that you should change your vision. So that flexibility in operating in an environment where there's no way for a project to be an island in this industry. You constantly have to be part of a bigger ecosystem, and finding that balance is very important.
Yeah, I would also agree on that point about the flexibility and on the other stuff about the product building. But I would also say probably not the most popular opinion, but I also look at the deck structure itself. And what I mean under the deck structure is that the point there are different stages, and on different stages you have different stuff that you need to mention in the deck. So for example, I see a lot of decks where the competitor analysis is missing, where the market opportunity is missing, where the go-to-market strategies on the strategic or private round is missing. And it's kind of bad, in my opinion, simply because you see that the founders can be insane. They could have a lot of experience in building the products. But when you have an IT guy who is building the products, the main problem here is that they can't position it correctly. So they can build it very well. They can even find the guys who will market it very well, but they don't know their competitors. They don't know what the people needs, and they don't know what the VCs are looking for. And that's the problem here, because if you will include like everything that you can in your data room, like you don't need to put everything in the deck, yeah, but you can put everything in the data room. So for example, add in your competitor analysis, add in market opportunity, add in like go-to-market strategy and everything else in details. You're just looking into the projects and understand that the guys, even on the early stage, are doing pretty great jobs because they evaluate any kind of risks that they have, and they are building the product. They're trusted in the product. They have a probably working business model. They have like a go-to-market strategy that will bring the community to them, and they have this start interaction. So that's probably the point for me on which I'm looking, because I'm a bit tired of the decks where you see a ton of text, nothing about like the market, simply like 3 slides about the product itself. Then the slide of a team, half of it is anonymous. And after that, you're seeing like, we are raising $5 million at 50 million valuation. And how should I evaluate that? I just have no instruments. So I just need more information. And when the team does the great job, it's always like great to see that.
Yeah, I totally resonate on that, especially decks that are filled with buzzwords. That's already kind of a red flag for me. Thank you so much. Do our other guests have anything to add on this topic?
Sorry, go ahead, Nelson. You can go.
No, you go ahead.
All right. So on the philosophy of like pivoting and stuff, I think there's a lot to be said for the ability to adapt. It's very crucial. Obviously, you want them to have the capacity to do it the right way. You don't want someone who's like always chasing the newest trend or the newest shiny thing or the next great idea they had. You know, because if somebody has a great idea, I'm sure they have more great ideas on the way. But there is a lot of value, I think, in acknowledging that if there are insurmountable challenges, that is the situation, owning it and being open about it and honest about it. I think that there's kind of like a stigma against, you know, owning up to things like that. And crypto, we happen to have one of the best communities in terms of like, they'll see through if you're hiding something or if you're trying to spin something and say like, oh, we're doing this for this and that reason, but really there's something else to it. So something that a lot of people miss is it actually adds a lot of credibility to a person, to an organization, if they have the intelligence and capacity to recognize that there are roadblocks and that there is a different path, and owning it and being like honest and open about it.
Believe it or not, Kevin, that was the point I was going to make. So, hey, we're good. Yeah, just to add to the points here, I mean, I fully agree with Nick and both Kevins in regards to the flexibility, where, you know, a lot of these founders, they'll become enamored with their idea, and there comes a point where they have to make a choice whether they want to see the project succeed or marry this idea in sync with it, likely. And when they're challenged, you'll see a lot of people almost feel like they have to double down on their original idea because they think that shows conviction, and that's what we're looking for. And it's some kind of test if we try to pivot in another direction. And that's not it. And being willing to learn and to hear the people whose advice you seek, I think is very, very helpful, especially within crypto and within the fluctuations of the several markets that we face. The second point would be towards the background. I always like to talk to people as well, find out what they did, not with any kind of matrix of what predicts success or not, but, you know, have you been through a couple of exits? Good. Have you failed at your 3 previous projects? Good as well. Tell me what you learned from it. So it's not so much about becoming a marketeer for yourself, and this goes towards Kevin from Solana Foundation and his point, being honest about and transparent about your path here and how you think it helps your path forward as well. And I think this question is really, really important because, you know, in the past bull market, I would see a lot of investors basing their investment choices because they kind of, you know, I like the founder. And then through the bear market, people got super technical and wanted to understand the projects really well. And now we're getting a glimpse of the next bull. And already I see investors going, I like the founder. So I think your question about what do people look for in founders was really, really relevant at this stage that we're at. And it's definitely going to help some people here make the best of themselves when they're talking to investors in the future.
Thanks, Hugo. Want to add something on this case?
I'm good. I'm good. I added in the beginning.
Okay, so I guess we're moving to an end, and I have this panel. One of the goals of this panel is to help our pitchers to make pitches better. So my question is, what should absolutely not doing the founders, the projects at the early stages? So the red flags for them for not doing in any case.
I think, in my opinion, if I talk to projects and they seem very desperate for funding, that's the biggest red flag that I see. And if they work together with a lot of different parties to get their funding sorted, or they accept very big ticket sizes, that's a red flag for me. Ultimately, what I would like to see is like a very, very limited group, or like not per se limited, but a very vetted group of investors who all have set deliverables or KPIs that need to be met as a strategic investor. It should be like some kind of exclusivity to being able to invest into a project. No big public raises, not accepting 200, 300K ticket sizes, cap every investor, and make sure that they all add a lot of strategic value. This way you can onboard more different parties. You create a fear of missing out amongst investors, and you do this on a top-down level, right? So you do this together. Let's say you create a fear of missing out amongst VCs or amongst KOLs. Well, what's going to happen? A lot of word of mouth. So that's going to be happy days. If you're working together with a lot of parties that are going to pitch your project to everybody, it becomes too accessible. It seems like there's too much supply, right? Like there's too much selling going on. It makes it lose its value, and value is of course all in our mind. So you got to create the sense of value and speculation. So I think biggest red flag is what I see founders more often than not do is we got to fill the race. We got to fill the race. We got to fill the race. No, you're in crypto. Like, come on, man. Everybody here has money. It's very doable to gain funds. Just look at what kind of value they're going to add. If they're going to help you a long time, get them in. But make sure their ticket is not big enough, because all their buddies all have to come in as well, and they all got to run for it. So you got to make people work, and not just take funding from everybody, because money, everybody can like get money in, right? If you wanted to get money without any strategic value, just do one big public raise, but it's not going to help you. So I would say don't be desperate for funding, make it exclusive, create a fear of missing out.
Great point. Thanks. Guys, more red flags from you?
A big one, I'll also speak from, I see this a lot also in my time managing different grant programs. Sometimes they're doing too much, right? Like they throw the whole kitchen sink in their plans and all of the different ideas they had. And as much as I love ideas and, love ambition, I think sometimes that shows two things, or it comes across two ways. It's not necessarily true, but it's going to come across as, one, a lack of focus. You need to really be laser focused on accomplishing what it is that you think is going to move you to the next step. And then two, possibly a lack of experience, because if you've run a business and you've built a product, you know that you're not going to be able to, do everything under the sun. You've got to be focused. You've got to ruthlessly prioritize. So I say that's one of the biggest things, most common things that I come across as well.
Cool. Thanks.
I would just add also, maybe this is advice from working at a centralized exchange, but I found it to be applicable also to other environments. If you overly focus on, the tokenomics are important and for sure one of the most important aspects of any pitch. But if your angle relies too heavily on token price and promises around token price rather than value added, I would say that's a red flag as well, because I don't get if that's where your mind is at, or if you think that's where an investor's mind is at, and therefore you might not really understand the relationship there. Another one would be, and also relates to this, if you somewhat are unclear on what is the regulatory environment that you're developing your product in, because this also tells me how much long-term you're thinking and how far ahead in the scaling process you're thinking. It's okay to be a degen. We're all pirates somewhat, but if you come at an investor and you're overly focusing on promises around token price and maybe not enough on compliant or sustainability through compliance, and understanding that today, pretty much a free market, but in 2 years, 3 years, these regions will have this or that change. This is how we will prepare for it. I would put compliance on par with security in terms of where your attention should focus on when you're presenting also a project to a potential investor. So yeah, those would be 2 red flags that I also tend to pay attention to, is overly promising on token price and not paying attention to the sustainability of your project.
Absolutely, man. Even if the token price is very important, don't say about that. It's like when guys say we will have a drop, it's a red flag. Guys, don't say it'll be a drop and everything will be okay.
Yeah.
So,
if I can add, the last one thought is I'm totally agree with Nelson about the sustainability, compliance, and the legal issues that will come probably in the future. But also I would like to add that the biggest red flag for a founder when he's starting to build a product is not doing his own research on the market, because for like November, December of the last year, I was tired because I was looking into like 15 or 20 decks where the guys are doing like the ultimate one-click DeFi strategy solution, like
super
20
app.
guys. Yeah, super app. They're doing all the same stuff, nothing new, but saying we are the first on the market without competitor analysis, market research, any stuff like that. And that's probably the biggest point here, because they are doing something, but they don't know who are else on the market doing the same stuff. They don't know what are the like risks on doing this stuff. It's like coming to the point with the legal side where there are guys who are doing like burning, but doing burning like in the incorrect way. And it's just legally unreal to do it in the region they are building the product. And you're just looking into it, understanding that they didn't do any kind of research. I understand that the legal research is harder, but still. And that's like the terrible idea when you're just doing the idea that comes up to your mind, then spending like 3 or 4 months on building and then understand you can launch it because no one wants to invest in it.
Yeah, sometimes it's over confidence, because when we were on Solana breakpoint in 2021, so every second person coming to me said, "Man, I'm doing DEX. It will be the best DEX on Solana. It's the best thing. Can you meet each other, talk to each other? You're both doing DEX now. Mine will be better." So it's sometimes it's like that.
Yeah.
So
I'd just like to add that I think a red flag for me is when projects are uncertain about certain numbers in their deck. Like in this space, you obviously have to work with many more different participants. It's just not just the founder and the VC investor. There's a lot of things that have to be adjusted as you go through the life cycle. And I think being clear on the ones that there's no flexibility, and being clear on the ones where you're open to advice and wanting to understand expectations and adjust accordingly is very important. Stuff that jump to mind are like vesting schedules, go-to-market strategies, and the likes, because you're going to hear varying opinions from different people with different incentives to do so. One of the biggest risks for a lot of projects is that there are a lot of VCs in the space that are not that native, that don't understand the long-term play, and tend to be predatory in their approach. So always be careful for trying to market specifically to just get capital, which was a point made earlier that I want to echo.
Yeah, really good point. We will be moving also to the next topic. Actually, Nelson gave us already a piece of his scope, and this is really dedicated to the founders out there. Most likely, many of you have tapped into hundreds of pitch decks and heard like nice stories. And I've noticed that that many founders have like a great product. They are tapping into some type of pain point. However, they lack the ability to share their vision and potential through a well-assembled deck and actually effective storytelling. So do you have some more advice for founders to actually share relevant information for VCs, angels, but perhaps also for retail investors? So for example, when you meet with a founder or read through a deck, what would you like to hear and see?
That's definitely a great question, and I will start as I was talking about the decks probably half of my time here. So yeah, about the decks, I will say that the first one is the structure, because like the structure can win it easily. Yeah, there are a lot of reports basically on the deck building. You can check, like the basic one is the Sequoia template and build it like that, but not the basic one is you can go to the DocSend reports, because they have like a report every year where they're where they have the combination of slides that like mostly comes with the fundraising after it. Yeah, you should analyze it as well. Don't just do it like don't just do the sequence of slide that they are proposing, because for example they have a team on the second slide, and the team on the second slide is only working when you have a team that was working in the JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs and stuff like that before, a lot big crypto companies. Yeah, that will work. But if you're just a new guy in the industry and you're building your first startup, you should definitely go into the problem, solution, then product, demo, then like any other pinpoints that can sell your product. And the most specific here is probably I don't know, I would even say that you need the whole new slide for the unique selling proposition, because the main problem for me when you see in like 100 of products in the months is that I saw it all before, I seen it all once again, and I don't understand what is the unique selling proposition of this concrete product. That's basically the point. If I can say that what is the unique selling proposition, I will get like deeper into it. But while I'm not seeing it, I just going through the deck into 3 minutes, and if it's boring, it's boring. So that's the idea.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, super insightful. Does anyone has more to add on this topic?
Maybe
the roadmap. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, it's fine. Just going to mention that I mentioned the roadmap topic already. That's what I like to be taken on a trip. I like you to tell me a story. So that part to me is crucial, and also, okay, not so much something to see, but something not to do. Again, I cannot highlight this enough. Is not to overpromise. It's always better to tease and be realistic than to come at me, with all of these promises that I know for a fact. Because, like you said, we see dozens of pitches. There's a version of what you said that I've heard this morning and the day before. So you're special, but not unique. We've seen it. So be realistic. Is what I would say. Be transparent and allow the people you're talking to work with you together on how to make it better or get from the realistic to the ideal. Yes, don't overpromise is what I would say. Just regarding what when building a pitch deck, think about the contents that you're going to put in there, because it's been seen and done before, and being transparent is always better.
I see as Kevin nodding his head and pointing the finger. So that time he got your idea, right?
Yeah, no, I was gonna say you're never gonna believe this. I was gonna mention storytelling also. I mean, pitching 101, right? Like I think all marketing is storytelling, and it has a conflict. Tell me what problem you're trying to solve. Are you inventing something nobody asked for, or is there something that you've uncovered or encountered that makes this a necessary product and is gonna improve people's lives? I think that's just so essential.
Yeah, I think in this space, the community is also such a big part of the story. And I so many times see decks where it's like, oh, we have X amount of Telegram and Y amount of Twitter followers, and that's just a number for me. It doesn't mean anything. Like, give me an insight in terms of what support you receive that is beyond your wildest expectations as just a founder, and like you have a bunch of people that are really supporting you. Today I had a corporate project where only in the last 2 minutes I realized, wow, these guys are well ahead of where they are in terms of their roadmap, in terms of people that are chain linking marine following them around right now, and that is such a powerful tool in this industry. So make that clear, because I think a lot of people just follow the traditional Web2 pitching storyline, which is so product orientated.
Yeah, absolutely. I think like ecosystems, but projects are only as good as their community. So it definitely makes sense. And also what Nelson just shared, like the space is growing. We have seen and heard it all. And being transparent and open on the initiative, the value, everything is super important. So Ivan, would you like to move on to our last topic, I believe, for today?
I guess we don't have time to the last topic. So I'd like to say thanks to all the judges. You can't even imagine what a pleasure do I have having this conversation in this team. It is very important for me that you share your expertise with us, with the projects, with the community, because that is how we can make the Web3 stronger, and build it from the early stage to something like a more better stage, because a few days ago I just came to a conclusion that the market not changing at all. The same things projects try to say, the same pitches, the same decks, the same strategies, but then I understood that not who can change this like us. We should do this market better. We should gather this pitch session. We should teach projects how to make better projects, and that is why you are here. Thank you for your time. It is very important for us in the project. So I guess we haven't finished, and the organizers asked to say to you that you have 24 hours for voting. So don't forget to give your votes, because it's no sense in other way that we gather here. So thank you to everybody, and we'll be extremely happy to see you on our future events. And when the war in Ukraine will be over, we are waiting for you in Ukraine for our offline events. So you're always welcome here. Thank you, guys.
Outstanding job, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.